All right, I think we're live. How we doing, folks? Am I audible in the slightest? Can you see the screen? Here, I'll write it out. I just have the loveliest handwriting, don't I? Oh, I see a yes. I see a yee. A yee is 10 times better than a yes. Hey, every pony, says Jason the Autistic Tugboat and Autistic Pony. That is a lot of spaces in a single username. I applaud it. Can indeed see this, says Sudry and Shenanigans. And then in parentheses, Rebecca, CEO. Hey yo, let me. Oh, hold on, it's moving quickly. Hey yo, let me arting stream, says PRR fan does trains. Yeah, let me arting stream. I guess you could describe this as sure. Hey, it's Henry. He says yes, Crimson 2091. Oh, that's great. I can't believe lemons are real, says Mad Max. Yeah, I mean they are. This stream didn't prove that at all, but yeah, they are. Hello, says Spam Can Productions. Hello back, Spam Can Productions. Oh, Dougie's here, says Lemon Man, I will blow you up. I'm not surprised that you might say that. That seems to be your MO, Dougie. Sodor Express Studios. Good. Oh, it keeps moving the second I start reading the thing. Good evening, Leamington. Good evening. Good evening. And I lost it. It's gone. Oh, how many people? Let's see. Let me look at the actual internet version. Wow, 31 upon startup. That's pretty crazy. Okay. Looks like a solid setup. I'm in the bottom left. And then we got the screen in full view. Yeah, it's solid. All right. So, folks, I'm going to need advice on what to draw because I could just pull something random out of a hat. But I think it'd be more interesting if somebody suggests something. There will doubtless be a few smartasses that suggest something really tomfoolish. So I'm going to just wait for a response that is interesting to me. Let's see. Draw Neville. Okay, that's decent. He's a loaf, says Trench Moose. Okay. Well, maybe Neville. America, just like the state of Sodor. Oh, you know about the state of Sodor. That's cool. Let's see. Draw Big Jake from JJ the Jet Plane, says Crimson 2091. I might, Henry. That's actually, I haven't drawn anything from JJ. That'd be kind of cool, but I would need a reference. Here, let me look him up. Like the JJ characters are always, maybe I should draw them actually without even looking at a reference. I'm gonna do that. I'm going to draw them and just see what I get, because I always picture the JJ characters being a lot more elegant than they actually are. Like, no offense to the JJ characters, I do like the show, but I picture them looking a lot more like traditional planes, and then I look at the show and I'm like, oh, wow, they're bulbous, So I'm kind of curious to see what I'm going to draw when I don't have any reason to change what I'm picturing in my head. Draw Sean Prendergast, says Scrapyard Studios. Like, for those who don't know, that's the guy who voiced Sunshine in Tugs. That's just kind of funny. I don't know why. All right. Yeah, I'm going to take Henry's suggestion and draw Big Jake to start with. Oh, by the way, Lemmy, what are your thoughts on a big retrospective, says Scrapyard Studios. So I have not seen it yet because I imagine there's a lot of kind of bombs that have been dropped in there where it's like, just a lot of really shocking new Tugs information, or at least a few cool tidbits, right? So like, I gotta make sure I'm not on the background layer, because what sucks is if you draw right on the background, then you can't separate the black from the white. And so I try to avoid that at all costs, just because then I can't color in the background. Like, the cool thing about this is that you can do, like you can see all that red is underneath the black. So having layers is just a beautiful thing. I didn't for the longest time because I'd use MS Paint. And you'd be surprised how far you can get with that. But I was stubborn for a long time and refused to get anything that cost money, and still have not gotten it. This is GIMP, which is a free kind of Photoshop equivalent. So that's what I'm using today. I have not watched a big retrospective. I'm excited to, but I haven't really been in a Tugs mood lately. And so I don't really want to watch it when I'm not in a Tugs mood. I feel like I'd be squandering it. So I'm going to wait until until I feel like the Tugs vibes again, and then I'm going to watch it. Considering I don't often draw planes, this isn't that bad. I can't remember if he has those like big turbines on the wings or what. Like already I can see I'm probably changing the proportions quite drastically, but it'll be interesting. Insane Edward says, I did send you some of the more modeling stuff from Big Retrospective. Well, it's a good thing I haven't checked my messages yet, Sam, because that would have been some spoilers. But I do appreciate the sentiment. I'm sure it's all really cool stuff. Steak and Cake is here. John says, Master of the Lemons in this economy? Yeah, I know, right? We can't afford me under these circumstances. Come on. Anybody who's seen the couple of like time-lapse videos I've made that I put up, I don't know if I did more than one of those. I think I did the one with Thomas and Birdie as humans, and I did the one, I'm pretty sure, I did the one of 10 Cents and Big Mac as humans. Those were the two I put up, and this is probably just painfully slow compared to those. Oh my god. We whistle some Beatles tunes to get us in the mood, says Will Thomas. Yeah, sure. Anyone who can guess which ones I'm humming, they win a special prize, which I haven't figured out what it is yet. I'm trying to focus so I can get the turbines in here. I'm pretty sure they're under the wings, or maybe he just doesn't have them at all. Penny Lane. I knew Will was going to be the one to guess. Mad Max says, Tugs, humanized sounds interesting. It's nice to see people do them often. Yeah, no, I definitely love humanizing the characters. Tugs is interesting because the characters are already a lot more human than in Thomas. Like, they've got very human features like glasses and hair and stubble. So, like, it's not that much of a leap to just draw the rest of the body, essentially. Whereas with Thomas, there's a lot more, like, you have to be more creative because you essentially have this big gray smiley face on the front of an engine. But you do have a lot of personality. Edward, for instance, is old and sagacious. And so, you can take that personality and you can definitely infer from it that, well, maybe he'd wear like a vest or something, like something that looks more old-fashioned. I don't know, that sort of thing. All right, I'm going to zoom in on the face. We're going in, folks. I'm used to having noise in these streams. It's just me. Edward is good gracious? Yes, Edward is good gracious, Mad Max. Let's see. So I'm gonna be bringing in the Scottish twins soon, who I stream with constantly. Not so much lately, but I've streamed with Scottish twins much more than I've streamed on my own in the last year or two. So I'm gonna be bringing him in later, but it'd be nice to bring somebody in now. Probably bring somebody in. I don't think it's a good time to put the link in the chat because then I'm gonna have 20 people waiting backstage and not getting let in. But I should let somebody in just so we can have some conversation while I draw this plane I don't remember. James said earlier on, hey, you're drawing my ride. James, if you're still here, by God, heed my warning. You're not writing this. Nobody knows what we're talking about. But trust me, it's serious. It's not actually. It's pretty funny. Let's see. Hello there, says Dustin. Rudy Productions. Hello, Dustin. Let's see. I'm available for the next half hour or so. Okay, I'll bring you in, Will, if you don't mind. Let's see. I'm gonna bring you in. There's some Tugs line about bringing something in. It's like, oh, it's where Big Mac's like, I was joking. Come on, we'll tell OJ and bring her in. Well, we're bringing her in. Except it's a he. We'll bring him in. Come on, we'll go tell Will Thomas we'll bring him in. All right. Any moment now, Will be bursting onto the scene. Let's try to give Big Jake a more robust chin, shall we? I think we shall. I'm going to attempt during this stream to actually get something done. Because I never do during these streams. I just end up talking to people the whole time, which is the point of a live stream, at least as I see it. Like, if I really care about getting something done, I do not do it on a live stream because, you know, it's just one big distraction. But, you know, it would be nice to actually draw something in this drawing stream. I can't believe they're rebooting JJ the jet plane and giving him an embedded face as Steak and Cake. Oh my God. I don't think so. So I seem to recall Big Jake having like a lot of wrinkles, maybe a kind of bags under his eyes. We got eyebrows. You got to start rough, folks. You got to start rough and work from there. This is him during an epic maneuver. He's doing spins and stuff, probably. Hey, there's Will. Will, welcome to the stream.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm sketching things out. That's about all there is to it.
Good. I couldn't find Zebedee or the fat controller in front of the TARDIS, so you're gonna have to do with Sad Oliver.
Okay, that works.
Which is a reference, ladies and gentlemen, to my latest remake, which was.
Look at this man. I invite him into my home. And he starts plugging his content. Wow. Well, go on. I endorse it.
Well, now that you've endorsed it, I have
endorsed
to
it.
go ahead. Which is a reference to my latest remake on my brand new Will Thomas channel. Yes, I've migrated to a new channel. Which is currently on 250 subscribers or something similar to that. So if you want to check that out, you can. It's very cool and awesome, and you know, pretty epic, I think.
I can recommend, yes. And it's very key that people realize that Will has changed channels, because if you search Will Thomas 199 on YouTube, you're not going to get anything anymore. You've got to search Will Thomas. Just Will Thomas.
Yeah, I'll link it in chat for the people. If that's okay with you.
For the people. Yeah, you do it.
For the people. There are many people that want to see me.
Absolutely. The masses. Anyway, Will, seeing as you're in the chat, maybe you could read the chat, because I'm painting a picture, and it's a bit difficult to read the chat when you're painting a picture.
I will read the chat for you, Lemmy, and I will respond to some comments.
Thank you so much.
If you have any questions for Lemmy, let me know.
You're gonna go through him first. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, you want to get to him, you gotta go through me.
So, what are people saying?
Well, Scrapyard Studios has asked, do you scran lemons? And I can confirm on the daily.
Hold on, what is scranning?
Oh, scran means to it's basically British slang. It just means to eat something.
Oh, you scran something. Okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before. That is interesting.
It's a fairly newer phrase among Brits. It's
something I noticed that Sam's Train says a lot in his videos. He says things are naff. That's naff.
Oh yeah, that's naff.
How modern is that? Has that been around your whole life?
That's been around. That goes back to, I don't know, that goes back along like to the 20s or something.
To Stonehenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, naff is such a good word.
Yeah, it does seem like it would be useful. He's already utilized it enough times where I kind of want to start saying it, but I'm also like, no one's going to know what I mean if I say it. People are going to be like, what's naff? And I'm like, well...
You should Britishize the American. Yeah.
Maybe I will. We'll see how that shakes out. Okay, so I personally don't scran lemons. The only thing I do scran is these lemon wafers. That's the only thing I eat that's lemon related, really. I don't even really like lemonade that much. But
I don't eat anything lemon related.
Yeah, so that's just a big lie of mine. Does Big Jake have a propeller nose? He doesn't, right?
Well, no one's put anything in the chat, but I will let you know. Someone has asked me a question. Football or soccer? And I gotta say, I'm a big fan of soccer. Soccer is I love watching the game, watching the soccer game.
I've seen him watch the soccer game. I can confirm he watches the hell out of the soccer game. It's really something.
Yeah, the soccer game's my favorite. My favorite
thing to do. Football's a better word for it, definitely. Also, it seems like there's way more interest in football in Europe than there is soccer here. So I think football kind of wins. But also, I have no interest in sports whatsoever. So I'm not really an authority on the topic.
This country is bloody obsessed with football.
Yeah, so is mine, but it just means something different here.
Well, I do not see the appeal personally, but
yeah. Me neither, but it brings a lot of joy. So, all right, I'll scran that.
Yes.
Start using scran wrongly as much as possible.
Crimson 2091 has said Jake doesn't have a propeller nose.
Okay, thank God. Thank you, Henry. I was afraid there for a moment that he might. I don't know if you're in any position to, Henry, but you're welcome to join the stream if you like. I'll send you the link. We'll see how he responds to that.
Someone has asked, well, me, but you can answer as well.
I'd say this. Thank you. I'm so glad I'm able to answer questions in my own stream.
I'm sorry, that sounded really. I apologize. I'm sorry.
I love how you're only able to sustain like an arrogant persona for about 5 seconds, and then you devolve into apology. You're just too polite. You can't help it.
Yeah, I mean, unless I'm doing my Gordon or my Spencer voice, I usually just stick to being nice and polite.
Yes, indeed.
So this person asked thoughts on the horrors of the Harwin Lake series, and I'll be honest, I've not watched it, and I don't particularly want to, only because I've seen bits of it, and it's not my thing. It doesn't look like something I'd be interested in.
So first off, I sent Henry the link, so you have the link now, Henry. It's through Skype. So join in for as long or as short as you've got time for. So secondly, I have watched Horrors of Hallwyn Lake and I was blown away. So I really loved it. It did some really interesting experimental things. Oh, hey, there's Henry. Welcome to my stream, Henry.
Hello, am I in?
Yeah, you are in. I hear you.
All right, good.
Hello, Henry. Henry, is it Henry? Can I call you Henry?
Yep, my real name is Henry. Yep.
Cool, nice. Yeah. Pleased to meet you.
Yep, I'm pleased to meet you too. I think I met you. Well, I don't know if I met you, but I know I know who you are.
Oh well,
So,
that's,
yeah.
that's
Not in a weird way. I didn't mean that in a weird way. But.
No, it's not. I mean, I wouldn't suggest that you've been stalking me at all.
Yeah. Here, let's see if I can make my avatar like my YouTube.
If you were to stalk anybody, I'm not a good person to stalk.
What are you not like? Why not? What makes somebody a good stalking target?
I guess maybe you, Lemmy, because you don't talk about like your projects and stuff you don't work on, like you work on publicly, really. So if people want to know the end of what you're working on, like right now, then and there, that could be useful.
You're giving people some awfully good reasons. That's true, yeah. But I don't think that would be stalking. I think that would be more like corporate espionage. That would be like a private eye trying to get the dirt, or like the secret plans for Henry's construction or something.
That's
just for my own safety. I'm working on a video essay at the moment.
Oh my God.
So earlier, I don't know. I'll do the like picture thing later. But anyway, Lemmy, earlier, like when you were starting the Big Jake, when you were starting doing this, at first it kind of looked like a hybrid of Savannah and Big Jake, but now it kind of looks more like it looks.
Yeah. I think the turbines probably help that. Like it makes him look a little bit beefier. Like it's interesting because in terms of like elegance, I kind of do. Like, I think the way I picture JJ characters, I kind of picture JJ being shaped more like Big Jake and Big Jake being shaped more like a real plane. Like I kind of shift everything, right, a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because in my head I picture things with more realistic proportions, and so everything just kind of evolves a little bit. After I'm done drawing this, I'll pull in a real picture of Big Jake and put them next to each other and get really scared as to how different they are.
Yeah.
I haven't seen JJ in about 15 years.
I don't know if it's been that long for me, but maybe me too. I've seen the model series of JJ more recently than I have the actual.
There's a model series?
There is, yeah. It's pretty cool.
Model series more than the CGI series. It was like a pilot. It was a pilot series in the 90s, the mid 90s, and they made 12 stories and 3 VHS tapes. And then in 1998, they did like the main CGI, like the main JJ series with CGI and everything.
It was so trippy when I first found out there was a model series. I think I found out back in maybe 2011 or so that there was.
Yeah.
And, I found it on YouTube, and I was just like, whoa. You know, I mean, you and I have talked about the
YouTube now. It's all on YouTube now. Like back, so I learned about. I mean, I knew about the CGI series first, but then at my old library, they had these VHS. They had a VHS section, and that's where I found out about the model series of JJ. They had a few tapes from it. It's also how I found. I don't know if I found out about Shining Time Station then, but they had some Shining Time Station VHSs as well. So that's how I was able to watch that back in the day.
Right.
And I really liked the model series JJ, when I was younger, and I'd still say I prefer it now. Just
It's got a whole lot of character. I do love how like JJ starts out a different color, and then there's an arc about how he gets repainted and how he gets his big break and all that.
And
like, it's cool. I mean, it's really there's more to it than you might expect at first.
yeah, no, definitely, and it's and the funny thing is, they were originally planning to make JJ blue from the beginning, but when they first started making the stories, they used a blue screen instead of a green screen.
Oh, that's right. You told me this.
Yeah, and if they had made JJ blue, then it would have messed up the blue screen. But then when they started making the new sets of episodes, because JJ's First Flight, so each VHS tape had 4 episodes. JJ's First Flight came out in '94. The first one came out in '94, the second one came out in '95, and then '96 was the third one. When they're making the first 4 episodes, they made JJ brown, and then the next set of episodes, when they were making the next VHS tape, they got a green screen. So the very first episode of that set, they made a story of how JJ got his blue coat. So
right,
yeah.
I mean, I kind of love when they roll with the punches like that. Like, you run into a roadblock, and rather than giving up, instead you're like, well, let's just change the story slightly, and it'll even add more character to it. And they did that. It's a really kind of it adds something. I like when characters have different eras of their paint work and like how they change over time. It's really good for flashbacks too. When you want something to happen in the past, if you have like a Batman cartoon or something, you just show him in an older costume, and you're like, oh, that's the old Batman. You don't even need to say anything. It's just immediately obvious.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that sort of stuff when it comes to storytelling.
It's kind of like How I Met Your Mother. So that show had a bunch of flashbacks all the way through the show. All of the flashbacks were filmed while they were filming the first season.
Oh,
so like the characters were younger back then, obviously. So
wait, are you saying how many seasons did How I Met Your Mother have?
9. It went 9 years. I know that.
Did they plan all of that out in advance, or?
Yeah, I believe.
Wow.
I believe they did.
That's crazy.
Obviously, Anthony would know more. Oh, sorry. Obviously, person number 6 would know more about that than me.
Right.
He's a How I Met Your Mother fanatic.
Yeah, no, I've heard he's quite into it. So he'll be the leading authority on that.
I've never seen How I Met Your Mother. My friend has and says it's quite good, but I never seen it personally. Not something I'm into, really.
Yeah, I think it's I don't know how prevalent it is in Britain. I know that it's a real classic here.
Yeah, it's not like a classic, but I know a few people that are fans of it.
Right.
Jason was asking what I thought of his profile picture. It looks, I mean, I can't see it very well, so I'm actually on my TV. I have the stream pulled up on my TV with the chat on it too, and then I'm on my talking on my phone. But I mean, from where I'm sitting, it looks cool.
I've got a few questions that I've saved from the chat. This is from Insane Edward. Says, hey Lemmy and my fellow Brit Will, what's your favorite model?
Is that how he intended for you to read it with that sort of grandeur?
Well, he put it in all caps, so I assume so.
I see. Okay.
He says, he said, what's the biggest model you've both made?
That's a great question.
I'll let you take this one then, Lemmy, and I'll follow up.
Well, the Vickerstown from JBS was pretty huge. It's probably that, if you count the bridges as well. I mean, it was... So the reason, if anyone's ever wondered why this room is 2 different shades of blue in a very sloppy manner, is because this is where JBS was filmed. And so the dark blue was the one that everyone else was using, so I painted everything that color, just so it would match what James and Roman were doing. It's Roman's birthday, by the way, so...
I put that in the chat earlier before I joined, just to make sure you knew.
Yeah, no, so everybody cheer for Roman, even though he probably can't hear this. But maybe he'll listen back one day. He listens to streams.
I texted him telling him that you were streaming.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So, we'll let him
Yes.
know he's welcome in at any point if he'd like.
Okay.
But I think what was I saying? Oh, the JBS. When I did Journey Beyond Sodor, how it should be, the station was enormous. The Vicarstown was something like, I feel like it was like maybe 3 feet by 4 feet or something huge like that. It took up half my table. And then the bridges went basically wall to wall across the room. And this room's about 13 feet across. So it was a really huge set piece and a real pain in the ass to film with.
That's fair.
But it was huge. So that's probably the biggest thing I've ever built.
Do you still have it?
No. Everything from my series and JBS got trashed a few years ago just because it was taking up a lot of space.
Oh yeah.
I was leaving it all on the floor, like in the corner, and it wasn't really being taken care of. So it was to the point where it was probably easier to just build new stuff in a better style than it was to just save the old stuff. All the engines though from that era did get saved, so I do have all that. But the buildings were so big, it wasn't really worth it.
Well, you made a Kirk Ronan.
That I did make a Kirk Ronan. You are 100% correct on that front.
I'm proud of you.
Proud of you too, Henry.
Did I actually give you the idea for that at the meetup?
I'm pretty sure you either said Kirk Ronan or you said like a breakfast house or something that the wall breaks away or something. You said something that was interactive, like a wall breaks away, and then that either gave me the idea to do Kirk Ronan or I don't know. I know I wouldn't have thought of it without you. So how accurate that whole display of events is, we'll see.
Because I read that script. And I was like, did I actually give you the idea? I don't even remember. But
I don't really remember either. I just remember you were relevant in the process somehow and wanted to represent that. So
I was looking back up in the chat, and there's another question for us.
Oh, is there now?
So thoughts on Dudley. I can't find it. It's gone now. There was thoughts on Dudley. You know that.
What is Dudley?
I think it's who wrote it? Was it the Boy Truck that wrote it? It was the Boy Truck, I think, that did a.
Is it like a piece of? The Vagrant engine.
Yeah, that's the one.
So I thought it was really good. I like the model that accompanies it. Somebody made a really pretty rendering of him. The face looks very fierce. I like that. It's a bit weird that the whole story is basically like, I feel like it's a bad character to associate with the word vagrant, like the whole story is about like, oh, he's in danger on the other railway and has nowhere else to go, but he's a villain, it feels, in that sense, it feels kind of a little anti-immigrant, but also this particular guy is bad, right? Like he's a good villain. He's sinister, conniving. Seems like the intention is let's make like a steam engine version of Diesel almost. So it's a good story overall. I do kind of wish that Oliver got pulled into it though to show the good side of immigrants, because that's kind of the thing is they're both in that same position, right? Oliver is a perfectly decent and hardworking engine that kind of travels to Sodor, and Dudley is kind of a sinister one. And I wish it was just highlighted more that there are a lot of good engines that are in that position too, because it kind of seems like the story paints kind of migrants who have nowhere else to go in a bad light. But of course, that's just because that's the one character that's a migrant in that story. So that's my only concern with it,
That is, I never thought of it like that, and that is really interesting.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing that worries me about it, but on the story itself and the way that Dudley is written is really interesting, and it's cool to see Bear get a highlight. I could tell that was a priority, is like, let's finally give Bear kind of a book, and that's what it was. I liked the story overall, and I thought it was really it was nice to kind of do something in the 60s that hadn't quite been done before. So that's cool.
Hey, Lemmy,
Useful
Engine 11, he was wondering if he could join.
At some point, yeah.
Okay, yeah. He said it's no big deal. He said it's no big deal when.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no. I didn't know. I would have just like said in the chat, but I didn't know if you were gonna see that because you're busy.
Yeah, I probably wasn't going to because my whole screen is Big Jake's face right now.
There.
Is this,
But
this is I think that there's so Spamcan Productions asked a question, and this is something that we may have talked about, Lemmy. I'm not sure.
yeah,
But no, yes, we have spoken about it. But you can talk to the chat about it because I think this is, because this is an open question. I'd like to get my opinion in here first, though. No offense to you, of course, Lemmy. I don't want to.
You're good. Will, go ahead.
But it's thoughts on the Little Westerner, which, if you don't know, is a Oliver prequel type story made by the Scotsman Returns.
The masterpiece. That's my one word. You can keep going.
I agree with that word. It is a masterpiece. It is not to put anyone else down, of course, but it is in the Thomas fandom space.
Sorry, you're gonna have to say that again. I don't know if you glitched for everyone else. Did he glitch for you, Henry?
I'm sorry. I was trying to go to the YouTube app on my phone, but whenever I go there, it cuts out like, the stream. So
right. I get it.
Yeah. So what did you say?
I said the Little Westerner, in my opinion, is the best. It's the best Thomas film in that has been made within the Thomas fandom.
It's up there. It's really great.
It's my and it's inspired me especially to make videos in Train Simulator, aka Railworks. Even though he does a much better job of it because he can get the faces actually on the engine.
I still want to know how he did that. I don't know how Railworks works, but I mean,
because when I do it, I have to do it in post-production, and it's a pain in the ass.
He's clearly used existing engines that just put the faces on, and I doubt if he's doing, like, if he was literally going into the core files of the engines and changing the faces, he'd probably change other things too. So he's probably found a way to insert a face onto an existing engine, which means it must be some sort of plug-in, like putting a snowplow on an engine or something. So I wonder how he actually did that. But the storytelling in that is phenomenal. It's really interesting because it's not the way I picture Oliver. He makes Oliver very smug in that, and I always kind of ignored the story where Oliver makes a fool of himself and falls in the turntable. Well, I always kind of emphasized like the kind of rebellious kind of rogue element of Oliver, where he's kind of the one sane engine that decides to run away despite everybody else's saying, oh no, it's fine, don't worry, I mean the diesels can't replace us. And you got Oliver over here being like, well, you may think that, but looking around it seems like there's fewer and fewer of us every day. One of us is going to have to stand up to it. We've got to get out of here. Like that's kind of his thinking, and everybody else doesn't see the risk until it's too late. And Oliver's the one guy, the black sheep, that's like, I'm going to go anyway. And that's how I tend to see him, as rather humble. But I totally get where he got the vanity from, because that's like all that Oliver owns up is about. So it's like a very true side of Oliver's personality, and I can tell that's Oliver's a pet character for him. Like we all have our pet characters that we like have a very strong characterization of, that we love, that we've taken one little thing and emphasized. And I think with Oliver, that's his. And he writes him really well. It's fun to watch Oliver have that kind of swagger about him. Ginty's a really great inclusion in that movie. I love Ginty. This that's cool to have this kind of engine that comes and opens his eyes up and says, hey, you know that you can rebel against the system. There's no reason you have to follow it, and we see where that gets him. I don't want to spoil anything about the movie, but it's just, there's some really devastating moments in there, but that like make it like the way the movie ends. I'm so glad it doesn't show the escape itself, because it doesn't need to. Everything about the movie makes it abundantly clear why Oliver would choose to do what he did. Like it ends right before he escapes, and it's you right after that moment. You're like, holy shit, how could he do anything else other than just escape? So it's like, it's so ingenious because of what it omits. That's the most brilliant thing about that movie. is that it just makes you desperately want Oliver to rebel, but you never actually see him do it, but you know that he does because we know how the story ends.
Yeah, we
Oh,
did.
yeah.
So, you know, it's brilliant.
Out of interest, because Lemmy, you've said it's up there, and I've expressed my opinion that I think it's the best.
I don't know what I think is the best.
Now, what would be what would maybe not the best, but some other fandom things that are up there for you? Would you say?
See, it's tricky, right? Because in terms of spectacle and in terms of how it's actually presented, I think Little Westerner does feel like a cinematic masterpiece. Like feels like something that would be in a movie theater.
Yeah.
I mean, and obviously in some ways not. You know, you would never get a Trains or Railworks thing that doesn't even have animated faces in a theater, right? But like, I mean, in terms of how it's presented and in all the ways that matter, all the ways that make it feel like a theater production to us, I think that it really nails that. You know, I mean, it's personally, I don't need anything more than that. Like that feels like cinema quality in every way that matters to me.
Yeah, I agree.
But there are other productions, like when you say it's the best movie made in the fandom or the best production, I mean, best can mean a lot of things, right? Like it could mean, like best could mean, you know, like objectively, right? Like, you know, like the way a film critic would look at it, what is the best movie? Like, for instance, Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure is probably the best Thomas movie ever made, but it's far from my favorite. Like, it's brilliantly made, but it doesn't even have like Percy in it hardly at all, you know? And or Gordon or James, or it's like mostly Thomas and Sailor John and Skiff. And like they're written brilliantly and everything is like just so good in that movie, but the focus of the movie is not something that I personally enjoy all that much. It's an idea I feel lackluster about, done to the highest possible quality. So I enjoy it. But at the end of the day, I still don't really want to see a story about Thomas dealing with a pirate in a railboat. Like, that's not my priority in storytelling, you know?
No.
I could see a really shitty origin story about Doncaster and Gordon meeting his brothers. I would enjoy a shitty version of that more than I would a brilliant version of, you know, the Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure, which is what we got. So when you talk about best versus my favorite, maybe Little Westerner is the best. But is it my favorite? No. Though I love it. I do really, really love it. It's up there. But I think that in terms of my favorites, I've been thinking a lot about Wild Nor'Wester's Winds of Change recently. You know,
that is a classic.
it is. And it's like it's not particularly cinematic. And really nothing Wild Nor'Wester makes is like, it doesn't quite feel like cinema, but the storytelling is just stunning in that. You know, it's so powerful. And you know, he just really understands these characters and he understands the island and its legacy and how it views itself, you know, because they are in the books and in the show and they all know that they're famous, but also they don't really, it doesn't change the way they live all that much, but sometimes it does. I love that. I love how self-reflective Wild Nor'Wester's stories are and his world, and it's brilliant. So Winds of Change is way above Little Westerner for me, even though Little Westerner is presented way more grandly and is very impressive. Winds of Change feels like home, you know. It's just so, you know. So, but there's a lot of things like that where like I mean, in terms of like the best, probably the Thomas fan production that's had the biggest impact on me as a creative person is Sodor of the Dark Times, and that's probably never going to change. That's probably because that just shifted how I saw Thomas, where I was like, you can tell a story that feels like that, and dialogue and conversations feel like this, and it was just crazy to me. He killed off all these characters, and he
Did he freeze?
Oh, I thought it was me.
No, he's frozen on my end too.
Oh,
Okay, well, I guess.
dear.
Oh,
Oh, it's good.
I think we're all right. Okay.
Oh, we're back.
I hear you now, Lemmy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sodor Dark Times is brilliant. There's also no "the" in it, which kills me. Because I always called it Sodor the Dark Times, and it's just Sodor Dark Times, I think.
Hey,
Yeah, it's really it's a strange one. I have a huge respect for it because it inspired a lot of creators.
Right.
But it's never been for me. Not big of an inspiration.
Sorry, Matt Twelman just said dial-up noises.
earlier in the chat, Mad Max asked a question. I already know the answer to it, but you might answer it. He said, "Have you ever made any Gauge 1 models or have done anything along those lines?"
You do know Henry. Yeah, I built a Henry. I think he's still in this box. I don't know if he's presentable. I'm planning on selling that Henry. But
there's a question that
I think it was in James's. I think it was in James's Chicago trip vlog.
Yeah, he's not really presentable right now. He's kind of in pieces.
Hey, we all live and learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we do. But yeah, so I would say I've built a Gauge 1 Henry. Oh, there was a diesel I was working on here earlier part of this year, which is kind of neat. So it's just the chassis right now, but this is motorized and RC. So you know I can use one of these regular controllers to just do the forward and backwards, and he moves along, which is pretty cool.
Proud of you.
Thank you, Henry. You remember when we were sitting on the floor and I just got the Gauge 1 track and I was testing Henry on the curves and he wasn't So this was why I built this, is because I wanted something with a really narrow wheelbase that would make those curves.
Yeah.
So I started this guy. But so that's all 3D printed, the wheels and whatnot. And they he's loud, but he does function as intended. So it's pretty cool. So that's pretty much the extent of my Gauge 1 stuff. I started a Fergus at some point, but he didn't get very far along, and he's since been almost completely destroyed. So
scary.
Yeah, that is scary.
That was.
You know who would not be very happy with that?
I don't know actually. Who's interested in Fergus and this fandom?
Dax.
Flying
Scott films.
Now I remember that he likes Fergus. It's easy. Oh my god.
There was a question in charge there that I would like to answer.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna do a video about it, but I'll just answer it here, and I may still do. But the basic question was thoughts on Tobias and the Half Pariah.
That is a big one. Yeah.
I'd like to jump in here and say Tobias and the Half Pariah to me is me watching Toby and the Stout Gentleman if I was high. it feels, when I'm watching that, I feel like I'm on drugs. which is a funny thing.
So
I think
my belief of it's not far off. Like, here's the thing. Tynes hit it out of the park with that. It is masterful. But it is drastically different from what we're used to, right? Like, it's just crazy the way that story unfolds, and the fact that Toby has these powers and that he's got, like, I don't even want to spoil it for for how the whole thing shakes out, but like Duck is made the villain, but it's not really Duck. It's a really, really different take where he was only concerned with making a good movie about trains, and even then at times it might as well not be about trains, but most of the time it is. And it's just crazy. The whole thing's batshit, but it's very entertaining. And I think that he succeeded wildly with what he was trying to do. I would never make something like that, but I'm so glad it exists, And that's that is the epitome of fandom. That's the epitome of like why it's good to have so many people approaching the same subject matter, is because you get stuff like that you would never think of, but you find yourself wildly entertained for 2 hours and you're like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I'm so glad that exists. So, I love that movie, but also
really
it is a weird
trippy.
one. It doesn't exactly, I don't get the same, again, that's why I bring up like Winds of Change. It's like I feel like that's like a lot closer to like my comfort zone. Like that's like the most epic Thomas can get within what I feel is comfortable and true about Thomas. Whereas like Tobias is way out of my comfort zone, but it's like an awesome out of my comfort zone,
Yeah, it's really trippy, but it's awesome in its own way, definitely.
Right.
It's you can approach Thomas from many angles, and I mean, I may not like all of them, but it's a show that you can do a lot of things with, and it's a series, a franchise, what have you, that you could do a lot of things with.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting over the years to see a lot of different takes that have been
Right.
taken with it.
Yeah, definitely, especially because there are so many characters to draw upon. I mean, it got me thinking recently. I'm also a huge fan of Batman, and
I know, Lemmy, I know.
and Batman is about as old as Thomas is. They are both products of the war, and I think it's really interesting to look at how both of them have evolved. Batman has been taken on by hundreds of writers, had a lot of different incarnations, at least 20 or 30 or 40. And Thomas has had, in essence, only about 3. It's had the Railway series, it's had the TV series, and it's had All Engines Go.
Yeah.
And the thing is, those are really the only 3, which at first I thought that's really sad that it has been that restricted for so long. But then I thought, well, it's had a lot more than that, though, because of what we've done. It's had Wild Nor'Westers series, and it's had Tobias, and it's had Sodor Dark Times, and it's had, Cactus 1907-06, and it's had everything in the Wooden Railway community with Key Cray and Milk Tanker Media and Enterprising and us, I mean, it has been explored from a million different directions, not with a very big budget, but the stories do exist, and they have influenced each other. And that's really cool. There are characters in the same way that, Batman the Animated Series introduced Harley Quinn as a character, and then she finds her way into the comics and into other animated shows. Dark Times introduces Alfred, and then people implement him as 98462 and countless things. And it's like, say what you will about those characters or how well utilized they have had a legacy, and they do trickle down through many different stories. And I think that's really cool.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's the
It's
thing.
really...
Something I was thinking about recently. So I actually just recently decided to try and watch Star Wars again.
Yeah.
Basically, I never got into it as a kid because I think it was because I tried watching the prequels first, but that's a whole different story. So
right.
I was thinking, the new, I forget the new Star Wars game that just came out, but basically I think it takes place just after the prequels. And then I think about it, honestly, Star Wars in itself, it doesn't follow specifically any certain characters and stuff. It's a part of that universe. Like all these stories and video games and comics and stuff that come out are
great point.
Around the universe. Indiana Jones is focused mainly around Indy, which I love Indiana Jones. And then Star Wars is based on a whole different universe.
Yeah, it makes it a lot more flexible. And I mean, you've demonstrated that, Henry, with your series, where you've literally jumped. I mean, your American series, I have to specify, but you jumped, to America, and then you literally just have a totally new cast of characters based on nothing other than the principle of Thomas, the basic conceit.
Right.
It works, and it's fun to watch, and it's entertaining for the same reasons Thomas is. And the fact that we can do that, you couldn't really do that with Indiana Jones, because what do you have left if you jump to another part of the Indiana Jones series? You just have a thing happening in the 40s in the real world. But Star Wars is so different and fun, and you've got all this spaceships and star cruisers in this world, that creating a new character in it is going to be inherently interesting. even if they have nothing to do with the existing characters.
That's the thing. Like, yeah, the TV series is literally called Thomas the Tank Engine, and Thomas is marketed as the star
Right.
series. But the Railway series, what it's based on, was never meant to be focused around one character or one engine. It's a whole like world
Yeah.
where trains have
Exactly.
faces and can talk, and that's kind of what I think a lot of people with these different stories and stuff. Like, I know Bertram Old Warrior did a series called Bertram Old Warrior where he focused on like Bertram's origins, or Matt Twellman, he did Friedrich the German Engine, or I did
Right.
Rails of the West. Like, it's all these different stories that don't focus mainly on like Thomas, or maybe even not even on Sodor. It's different parts of the world based on real events or original stories that where they could take place in that universe where the trains have faces and can talk and all that, but they you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. No,
the good
absolutely.
thing about the just the whole concept with a train with a face is you could take it anywhere.
You really could. I mean, because trains are such a massive part of our modern world. When you think about it, they are a huge part of pretty much everywhere on the planet. Their origin story is affected by trains, and so there's a lot to incorporate. Also, Scottish Twins is going to be joining us in 5 seconds. Just
I
kidding.
was gonna say, I forgot to tell you. Yeah, he was here. My bad.
Yeah, no, he's in now.
There's a really cool video on YouTube, and I can't remember what it's called exactly, but it's like what relates superhero movies and trains. It's really interesting. It's a really interesting video.
That's interesting. That sounds like something that's got me written all over it. Was that done by a Thomas fan or what?
No, it was done by a channel called Nando V Movies.
Oh, really? I know that channel.
He's really. I'll link it in. I'll send it to you. Let me.
I gotta wonder how many people are like just closet Thomas fans on YouTube. Sometimes somebody says something, especially watching like railroad related stuff, where like I get the sense there are some channels that the person running it is a Thomas fan, or at least has a little bit too much knowledge about Thomas.
Yeah.
But they're only talking strictly like real railroads, right? So,
Right.
But then every now and then they say something that's like a little too Thomasy, and I'm like, did you watch Thomas by any chance? Because you're kind of talking that way.
I heard recently. I forget how we got onto the topic of it, but I don't know how we got into the topic of it, but somehow we started talking. Oh yeah, because my name's Henry, and someone at work as a joke just called me Henrietta.
Right.
And I'm like, somehow I brought up Henrietta, Toby's coach. I started somehow. I know some of those engines, or I used to watch that a little bit, and then I started talking more and more about it, and then he's like, "Whoa, like you know a lot about this kids show." I'm like,
right. Yeah, I mean it's interesting because everybody's open about their interest in Thomas to different extents. For me, it's basically the second it becomes relevant, I just introduce it outright and say, "Yeah, I'm a big fan of this." But it's like it's interesting when I ask people, I'm like, "Well, out of curiosity, how many characters can you name from Thomas?" And some of them surprise me. Oftentimes, Diesel 10 is one of the first ones after Thomas. And like that's interesting because he is pretty. You would think he's pretty niche, but he's kind of memorable if you've ever seen him in your life. You kind of don't.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, he really watched Thomas as a kid, but he did watch Magic Railroad a lot.
Right.
He didn't watch the show really, but he watched that particular movie a lot, and he enjoyed that movie as a kid. So of course he's gonna know Diesel 10,
Right.
And I think it's also how a lot of shows are seen to have a good guy, bad guy dynamic. Thomas as a whole isn't necessarily like that, but Magic Railroad.
Yeah, you're right. Like most franchises have like the big bad, and Diesel 10's really the only thing that the show's got, so people clamp onto it because we're used to that structure.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, it's I find it interesting how open people are with their love of Thomas. For I've never I've never gone up to someone and said, "Hey, do you like Thomas?"
I've never gone up to somebody and said that either. However, it doesn't take me long for it to come up. So like, I mean, I am a huge fan of Thomas, honestly, obviously. So when I'm talking to somebody at work, right, and somebody says, "Hey, like what's an example? Like, I don't know, like I'm talking about how I love driving the forklift, and that's a really fun thing to do." And they're like, "Oh yeah, it's really cool." Like, part of the reason that I think driving a forklift is really neat is because it's kind of like driving, like, it almost feels a bit like a narrow gauge engine,
Yeah,
like,
about to say.
yeah, like it's not a full size steam engine, but it's this little machine that's still really heavy. And if you really had to, you could probably get a bunch of people together and try to like tip it back up if it fell over or something. Like if you got like 20 people.
In the Thomas universe, that forklift could potentially be alive. Or
Yeah,
at
I think
least
it would definitely be.
Would you give it a name?
Well, it depends on which one. Some of them already do. Did you have a Big Bertha, Henry, when you worked there?
Well, at my old job, we didn't really name the forklifts. At my new job, we had. By the way, in come 2 weeks, I will no longer be a trader. I just got an offer for a new job. But anyway,
Oh wow, that's
yeah,
exciting. We'll talk
yeah,
more
yeah,
about that after.
yeah. I'll talk. Yeah, we can talk more about that like sometime. But
Yeah,
anyway, the electric pallet jacks in my new job, they have like that Lowe's vest on,
yeah,
and then well, not the actual vest. It's like a decal on it, and then there's
right.
then there's a place where it says, "Hello, my name is blank," and you can write it on there. One of them is called Pedro, and I forget what
That's great.
it's called. But
Yeah.
yeah,
As you know, Lemmy, I volunteer on an unspecified heritage railway in the UK.
Which shall not be spoken.
No, just for my own privacy
Sanity and protection,
protection. Yeah.
in
Um,
case somebody might want to visit you there.
oh
God,
no. I do well with public interaction. It's part of my job there, but but I don't want people coming up to me saying, "Hello, are you Will Thomas?" And when I'm working.
very understandable. But you were saying?
Um, yeah, but I have given names that I've not told anybody, but I have given names to certain locomotives that are there, or I've used names that already exist. But Lemmy, you know I'm a big fan of one of the bigger locomotives there that has a name, or that has a
Yeah.
nickname, should I say, because it's not official, but it has a nickname.
Yes, I'm well aware.
Yeah. But yeah, I do like it when engines have names. I think that comes back to just the Thomas roots of it all, and specifically the line in Enterprising Engines that Bear says.
It's nicer than
you know,
just a number. A name means you really belong.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely.
Yeah, I always.
It feels almost like
that
a
really.
right,
That, yeah, that really stuck with me. So now I tend to just name a lot of the locomotives I see.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely, like, the I mean, the other thing is, like, where I work, I mean, obviously nobody's got the Thomas influence, but it's just, there's something about machines that they're these kind of things we build and they come to life, and I mean that's where the whole railway series comes from, is the fact that these machines are alive in a lot of ways. And I think that kind of giving them a name just makes sense. Like where I work, we do call the biggest forklift Big Bertha, because we've got 3 forklifts and 3 reach trucks, which a reach truck is like.
you're lucky.
How many did you have?
At my Home Depot, we had 2 forklifts, one in garden, one in lumber, and then one truck.
You had 1 reach?
Yeah, just one.
Dude, that's brutal.
I think. Well, I guess you're probably a bigger store than
Probably, yeah. But
But
still, even then, you gotta have at least 2. Like, I
Well,
feel like
at
gotta
the,
be times.
the Lowe's I work at, we have like 3 or 4 reach. I mean, 3 or 4 forklifts, and then we have 2 reach trucks, and they're called. So there's 2 Lowe's in Springfield, and I work at the smaller one.
Right.
But it still has, it's still pretty busy. And funny story, for some reason, the reach trucks, people call them the Star Wars there. Star Wars.
That's
Don't know why.
why?
That's just how it is.
I love little idiosyncrasies like that at places. It's charming.
I guess it's because someone a long time ago was saying it looked like a ship or a droid from Star Wars. Because the reach trucks, they're like yellow. They're not
Right.
like, I don't know if yours. I don't know. Like at Home Depot, the one I was at, they were gray. And
Yeah,
then,
they're probably Crown brand. Like mine are all.
they were Crown brand, but then at the Lowe's I'm at, I think they're Yale brand. I think they're called Yale.
We've got literally all of our reaches and forklifts are all Yale, so everything's yellow, and it's very satisfying. And it's when I move, it's going to be very unfortunate that I'm going to have to get used to a new color.
Like the old color. Have you talked to your boss or like any?
Yeah, no, the wheels are already in motion, so I know where I'm going.
Oh, cool. So you got like a transfer already.
Yeah, no, it looks like it's going to work out. We haven't actually made the calls and whatnot, so it's not a guarantee.
Sure.
But my manager.
That'd be good. I mean, usually from what people have told me, obviously I've never transferred, but it like I've had friends and coworkers, transfer, and they say usually it works out. If there's an opening spot, you should probably get it.
Right, because naturally they're going to want somebody who already knows something about the store over somebody who doesn't know anything yet. Exactly. So yeah, it should work out. But yeah, anyway, so
I'm just listening to you two having no idea what you're talking about.
For those who don't know, we've both worked at the Home Depot in the past, and we relate over certain things.
Yeah.
And for the English people in the chat, Home Depot is like our B&Q.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Will. I didn't even think that is a necessary.
I'm your translator for the English, for the British.
But here, let's try to get another question. What are people saying?
I will.
And also, the Scottish twins. Are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
How you doing, Scottish?
Good. I'm gonna leave real quick and switch over to my PC because I just got home. When I joined earlier, I was in the car driving. So
okay, you go.
I'm offended. You're not Scottish. You've tricked me. You've deceived me.
Will,
I love how you're like speaking on behalf of the Scottish. Like, man, that's some Scottish accent you got right there, Will. It's a really thick Scottish accent I can hear.
Oh, you've deceived me, man.
You should have started that way if you wanted to make claims.
I'm as Scottish as they come. I don't know what you mean. I'm bloody as Scottish as that Donald and Douglas.
Donald and Douglas. Wow. The actual ones.
The Donald and Douglas.
For those in the
No. Oh. It's not me. I keep thinking it's me. You froze. You're frozen again. Oh dear. Oh,
I don't know if you can hear us, but you froze again. Like your screen's still going, we can still see you draw, but your camera and mic are frozen. Yep, there you go. That's a sad face.
That's rather upsetting.
Yeah.
That is a sad face. That is how we feel when you're not here.
The scary times we're living in.
You should tell them. Oh yes, I will do Scottish. Do not worry. Do not worry. Do not worry. Hang on. He's written something, but I can't see it because the thing's in the way. Oh.
Yeah, he's frozen right now, but you might. Yeah. Let me, if you can hear us.
No, he's gone. Oh no.
Oh, wait. No, he didn't leave. He just turned his camera off. He just
Oh, he turned his
off.
camera
Yeah.
off. That's fine.
Yeah. If he left, then its screen would be off. But yeah. Well, I guess we can look at the chat in the meantime.
Yes. I can tell you some anecdotes about I don't know, fun train stuff. Do you guys like fun train stuff?
Yeah. Oh, J88 Productions asks HO Tom or Double O Tom. I guess.
Double O Tom for me.
I mean, I guess HO. I mean, I haven't done. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I use Wooden Railway, so I'm not. I don't really collect either. But yeah, I mean, I could go either way. But yeah. Oh, I think Will left.
All right. Am I audible again?
No, still here. Oh, I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
I'm retiring the screen for the night. I think if I need to show myself on camera again, then so be it. I'll hook the phone back up, but it has been unreliable thus far.
Real quick, Solomon asked a question for me and Bill.
What did he say?
He said, Will and me, which locomotives can you beat in a fight? I don't think. Well, here's the thing: are they moving? Because if they're just standing, if they're just sitting idly, you can just go up and punch them in the face. You don't go.
That's true. Well, I guess the real question is what requires beating them. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
I mean, do I have to knock them over? Because if so, none of them.
Honestly, I think I could beat Gordon in a fight of brain and power.
Brain and power. Brain and power?
No, not brain and power. Just brain power.
I see. Okay.
Hello, Scottish. Good to see you.
I'm back, baby.
I think you discredit Gordon, Will. I think
I do.
What do you think?
I could beat Gordon in a race.
It was just him. It was just the character that came into my head first.
I think okay, well, what engines do we think were smarter then? That's an interesting question.
None of them.
Here's the thing. Well, going off TV series,
Bill and Ben. I think I'm smart on Bill and Ben.
Yeah, Bill and Ben. That's fair.
I think that's about it. That's where my intelligence level stops.
Billy, I'm way smarter than Billy.
He's got Scran, says Scrapyard Studio.
He's got Scran.
He's got Scran, Scottish.
Huh?
Explain, Will.
You've got Scran.
That's not explaining.
I know. I'm gonna wait for him to ask what it is.
What's Scran?
Okay, cool. So Scran is food.
Yeah, I do have food.
No, you have Scran.
I've got Scran.
Earlier, somebody made a comment. They said something about like me. Do I scran lemons? And I was like, "What the hell is scran?" And so Will had to explain. And now it's a meme.
Yeah. Do you? Is the food good or is it naff?
It's good.
Is it good for colon?
That's a question.
Is it good? What
for your colon?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Nice. That's 2 for 2 right there.
That's pretty solid.
How does my mic sound compared to my phone before?
Sounds fine. We can hear you.
Oh, Silver the Dockyard Engine asks, Lemmy, how did you make Red Rail?
Cardboard, same as everything else.
He made the number because of my birthday.
No. That was just a terrifying coincidence. For whatever reason.
He made the number because of the release date.
Yeah. No, that's another terrifying coincidence. That's really scary. I accidentally made Red Rail's number, what was it, 0717?
Yep.
And that happened to be the day that I released the video. But that had nothing to do with it. Like, I just chose And I'm sure somebody was born that day at some point.
Yeah, somebody had to be born that day.
What's the smallest model you've ever made, says Mad Max? When is somebody going to ask me, what's the longest train you've ever pulled? And then is somebody going to ask me, have you ever worked Marseille? Is anyone going
Have you ever crashed?
to see? That's the next one.
Have you ever been in a car crash?
Oh God. What's the smallest model? Well, it's difficult, right? Because what counts as a model? Like I've made like clay figures back when I did Special Funnel, the remake, Wooden Railway remake of Special Funnel. Those were really small, but like it's easy to make something small, you know? Like what if I make a tiny little ball of coal, like a little ball of clay that's supposed to be a single lump of coal? Like it's not very impressive to make something small, I guess. Whereas like when you make something big, you can half-ass it or you can't, but either way, it's going to be harder than making something small. Even
It
if you
depends on what you're talking about. Like obviously just a small lump of coal. Yeah, sure. Could say, so I mean, I'm sure a big reason why small railway engines weren't a thing in, you know, the model series was because that would have been impossible unless they made
right. So I guess the real question should be,
Yeah.
what's the most intricate small thing I've ever made? I made a Scarloey once that was in scale with Wooden Railway mostly, that had wheels that turned. I never got around to painting him, but he was really small. I did that. What else have I done that's really tiny? I never did any Tugs models that were smaller than Ertl scale because that was always kind of the benchmark. So, like, nothing really there. I don't know. There's a lot of tiny things that I've made over the years, but I don't think any of them are really crazy. I mean, I guess that Scarloey kind of was. Solomon said, Sam, Crimson, Will, and Scottish. How's everyone's colon? Are your hearts pumping good? Kidneys good to go?
No.
so.
I mean, I think so.
I'm going to die in 3 days. So
Wow. And, you know, I'm honored that you would decide to spend some of your final moments on my stream. That's touching.
No, I'm not going to die. Just to clarify, but if I was,
Oh my God, I was so convinced. Davis,
but if I was, I would let you know.
Davis, good. Davis Z says, Lemmy, I take it you like making OCs. Which is your favorite OC that you have made? It's interesting because I don't tend to refer to them as OCs. I mean, they're just characters, right? Like as a writer, if you need a character, you just invent them, right? And it's like, I mean, in theory, I guess Christopher made OCs when he brought in did he though? Pip and Emma, I guess, were OCs, but not really, right? Like they're just characters that a writer made. And so the way I approach stories, I feel like an OC is more when you make like a standalone character that you don't write any stories for, but you just kind of make a sprite of them and you're like, okay, here's my character. They exist. Here's like a sheet of their characteristics and that's it, right? So I don't really, which is cool if people want to do that, but I don't really approach it that way. I don't think I've ever created a character like on its own. I only ever create characters when I'm writing a story already, and then I'm like, okay, there's a gap here. I need to put something in there. And then I invent that character. So like when I did Long Live the Iron Horse, I invented a lot of characters because I needed
You
to
invented
tell a
the
story.
horse.
Hmm?
You invented the horse.
I invented several horses.
No, Lemmy, you invented the horse.
Oh, you mean like I could patent it, like I invented it?
Yeah, you invented the horse.
Wow,
Yeah, man.
I forgot I did that. You're right. Shit. Oh,
Yeah.
I've been around a long time. I've been around the block.
Yeah, horses did not exist before you.
Thank you for that, Marvel, Lemmy. That is.
You're welcome.
That's
It's a
very
modern
much
Marvel. It's actually not. It's a very ancient Marvel.
I was gonna say that, but I was like, oh well.
But
Davis, he asked, who's your favorite character you invented?
that's a great question. Whoever it is, it's probably not somebody anybody knows about.
Properly.
Yeah,
Me.
that's the thing. I'd say about maybe 10% of the characters I've ever invented have actually seen the light of day, which is a pity. Because all my best stories are stories that haven't been published. So it's like, it's a pity. You're right, Henry. I do need a stalker. Can you be my stalker for me so I could just get everything out there?
Yes.
Thank
I
you, Henry.
try.
I have a favorite OC that I've made.
Yeah?
Yes.
Oh. Okay, I see. Well, you know, as Audrey once said, you can't choose a favorite child. Promptly followed by his son Christopher, who then said it was Toby. So, you know, not everyone agrees.
I made an LNER V2 that will be appearing in my series eventually. And that's all I'm going to say on that.
That's quite a lot, actually. And yes, I am quite fond of this character as well.
I mean,
nothing more on the matter.
I have not created any OCs like I have, but I can't remember any of them off the top of my head. Apart from a cast of characters for a series that I've written one script for, which you have seen, Leonard.
That's pretty massive. That's like, you're saying, like, I've never created an OC apart from those like 17 OCs I created and then wrote a whole story for. But you know, apart from that, you know,
I created a family of characters,
right? Which is impressive, and it's a great cast.
Would the big boys be considered OC? They were already, because they're real.
Yeah, Henry, definitely. Everyone you invented. I mean, I think in all the ways that matter are OCs because you decided what their personalities were, right? Like, it's not that different from what Audrey did with like the Tally-Lynn Railway. The only difference is that he made a copy of it and renamed it and then changed the geography and whatnot, but the engines themselves are identical. But you know, so he just changed the names basically, and you gave yours names. Or I guess
So some people I debated like when I was first, like when the series was still like in development, on whether or not to like give them actual names or just stick with their numbers. I opted to just go with the numbers for now, but like
I do think that's kind of like that's a good idea because like I mean you could give them names, but the thing is, it really does feel. It reminds me every time a character addresses another character that this is a real engine because that's the only name I have to work with, right? So I feel like people, you know, if you like give like a real world engine like a name, then you don't think of it as that engine anymore. You think of it as, oh well, this is the fictional version of that engine.
Yeah.
Whereas using the number all the time does emphasize that it's that engine, and you could look it up on Wikipedia and find it. Like I think that does add something.
How I see it is like, I mean, in the Thomas universe or like in the Railway series or whenever they introduce a real engine, you know, it's Flying Scotsman, Wilbur, like those are their names in life. That's what they refer to them to. And in Britain, obviously they named their steam engines actual, you know, names, whereas in America, a lot of engines at the time or even now are just, unless they're
numbered,
like,
and so you're kind of reflecting that culture.
I'd like to clarify that a lot of our steam engines don't have names.
The famous ones, I guess.
The famous ones have. Basically, the big express locomotives have names, and everyone else just has a number.
Even the Norfolk in Western 611, that's a pretty famous American engine, and that everyone refers to it by its number.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, I find it interesting which locomotives have names and which don't. Hence why it goes back to the thing is I like to give locomotives names. Just
right.
Yeah, I think that. But in terms of OCs, well, what's my favorite then? I don't know. I probably couldn't answer that question authentically without spoiling things that will never come out. But I saw another question here that is also from Scrapyard Studios that says, where is it? I've lost it. Hold on, I've lost it. It's somebody, I can't remember who, but somebody asked, what's your favorite character to write for then? And that I can answer. It's probably Edward. Edward's a lot of fun. I mean, he's really, because he's so methodical, but he's also a little condescending sometimes. Like, he's the type of engine that he can kind of, if somebody's being arrogant, he can deride them without them noticing. Like, you get the sense Edward always knows more than the other characters, and he's just kind of exhausted when they're getting things wrong and making mistakes. And like, he's too kind to tell them to their faces, but like, now and then he just kind of, you can tell he's exhausted, and we get why he's exhausted, but the other characters don't. Like, I like that dichotomy a lot, you know. So Edward's great. Gordon used to be my go-to, but I still like writing for him, but not as much as I did back in 2016. Thomas is a huge one. I love writing for Thomas. Again, like, it's weird, right? Because like when I say Edward, you can think, oh, well, there's Salty Story and there's The Token. Those are two really good examples of how I write Edward. But Thomas doesn't really have any of those apart from very brief segments in Farquhar Acts. And but there's a lot of stories I've written about him that would exemplify why I love him so much and how I write him. But I haven't really gotten a chance to do that. Honestly, the humanized version of Thomas I have on DeviantArt has gotten more like actual written story content than the engine Thomas, which
Well,
are
Lemmy, you need to continue that.
Hmm?
Lemmy, you need to continue that. I'm waiting for the next installment.
I did
not-
have a tremendous
Yeah,
clip.
that's the thing. So that you uploaded this new video recently, but I didn't even read the title because I don't care, because it's all I care about is Farquhar Act. So
I mean, that's fair, honestly, Henry. I think that's a common reaction.
I'm waiting for the next State of Sodor to come out.
There were a few people on the Farquhar Acts video who commented like, "So is it coming out or not?" And it's like,
Wait,
okay,
one of the next installments, Useful Engine 11 asked me. He asked, what's the progress on the new episode of my American series? So,
yeah.
in case people don't know, my American series, I just refer to it as that, but the actual name is Rails of the West. I finished the script. Lemmy's voicing in it. I actually think you are useful. I think you are. I'm pretty sure you are. But so, like, I got a couple episodes. Actually, no. I have a few videos coming out in the next few months. I got a Halloween episode of Adventures on Sodor, which is my Thomas series, coming out in like around October. Once that is released, or once I finish that, I'll start filming for Rails of the West. That episode, I'm hopefully, if everything pans out, it'll be out by like end of the year, maybe January, February next year. It's like a winter kind of episode, or not super snowy episode, but I mean it has some snow in it. But yeah, so it would be cool to have it in like January, February when it's still winter time.
Yeah.
I think that's a realistic goal.
I think it is. Yeah. I was going to say, Henry, I think you're good at setting realistic goals. Like, a lot of people like myself would be like, oh, I could get it done in this next month. And then it just wouldn't. Right. And it's much better to just not disappoint yourself, because the truth is you're still going at a good clip, honestly, with things, all things considered. I mean, you've produced more than I have in the last few years. So, it's really nice to see you working on stuff.
I set a bad goal for myself.
It's okay.
Well,
but
3 to 4.
Scottish, you actually have gone at like a serious clip, though. Like, the fact your first season was just like you tore through it. I feel like it's just really, I don't know. I would have struggled to go to do that quickly.
I tried to get it done as fast as I could.
I mean, I've tried for one upload a month this year, which unfortunately I didn't do in March. But I tried to upload at 7 p.m. between the 20th and 25th of every month of this year. That was my goal.
Right.
It was very specific, and I didn't stick to it. But it's fine because I'm still producing semi-regularly.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you keep going, I think that's what matters. I just get so I get blocked very easily. Every time I stop working on something, it's usually just because I'm discouraged for one reason or another. Like, it's never for any tangible reason, Like, it's never because like, oh well, there's this practical thing that's in the way, and I can't, like life getting in the way. Plenty of people say that. They say, oh well, life got in the way, and I didn't have time this month to do it or whatever. And I've got plenty of time. It's just that I'm not, I get discouraged very easily. And that's a really dumb reason. Like, it's very unfortunate because, I could be so much more productive if I could just get over that. It's purely a psychological hurdle. It's not like anything that has to do with practicality, which is, I'd like to resolve, but I don't know how. So this is the schedule that I have. This
Lemmy, what are you drawing?
It's Big Jake from JJ the Jet Plane.
Okay. I was like, this is not Jeremy.
You were so ready. You're like, please, just let him be Jeremy. Just I'm waiting for the blue. It's not blue. What's he doing? Like you were holding that hope.
Hoping that this was not Jeremy.
That's fair, considering he's such a Chad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it looks like, funny enough, because I know when you were adding the blue chin, not blue chin, the like defined chin. I don't think in JJ, it's been a while since I watched it. I don't think in model or CGI series he doesn't, which is weird. I don't think any I guess old Oscar and Snuffy do, but that's because they have propellers, so their faces have to protrude out.
Right, yeah.
But I don't think he does, but I do like that style for a Big Jake. He's an older dude and he's, buff.
Yeah, no, see, that's kind of what I thought too, is like it kind of matches his personality. So I kind of wanted to go with it and see how it looked. Like, I kind of like doing that, Henry, where I'll kind of like, I want to capture the essence of a character more than I do the actual way that they look.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like Thomas characters I'll just draw from memory, and I won't actually worry too much about how they looked in the show or the books. And oftentimes it helps too that I've modeled a lot of them quite a few times digitally and physically. And so I kind of am already aware of the basics. I know what shape Edward is in the show versus the books and all that. And so that helps to kind of to capture them from memory. But it's interesting with Big Jake, because this is like, I haven't thought about him in years. So it's just totally, from my feeling about him, which is a strong feeling. Like I do remember him being one of my favorites in the show. So it's enough that like I have something to go off of, but it's not enough that I have like the actual details in mind.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
No, that's nice. He kind of reminds me, his face now that you're coloring in, it reminds me of those really old YouTube poops where like guys like, yes.
Yeah.
But
I can't recall the one you're talking about.
if you just search Yesh, I think people would say Yesh, like YESH, like that.
Let me look this. There's got to be like a know your meme or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is at some point. Yeah. When was the last time you drew any humanized Thomas characters, Lemmy?
Very recently, I did one of Human Thomas. For those who don't know, because the next sentence is about to get very confusing, I made Thomas female in my humanized thing. And so you've got kind of two drastically different versions of Thomas. One where she's like kind of back in like the Vickerstown days, if you want to think of it that way. And she's like dressed in brown, and she's kind of like, she's going to like a private school, and she's very buttoned up, and she's got like kind of, she's very shy. And then you've got the high school Thomas, where she leaves that town, and now she's going to high school in a different town, and she reinvents herself. And that's kind of like the equivalent of Thomas going from brown to blue. And then there's a bunch of people who are going to say, no, he was black in Brighton, whatever. Okay, it's brown to me. Thomas is brown to me in Brighton. So Thomas starts brown, then goes blue. And then that transition, like I guess the TV series equivalent would be Thomas going from like green to blue, right? Like, the big moment where Thomas gets painted blue. So then after that, like she totally reinvents herself. She has like, this kind of rock star look to her, where she's got like a tank top, and like she's got like, these kind of almost biker boots, and she's got like crazy hair, but like half her head is shaved. You just like imagine like if Thomas were human and could stylize himself, right? What would he do to just piss off the authority, And that's
it's really cool.
Thomas is.
It's really like I really would love to read another State of Sodart chapter because I've been in a bit of a mood recently about that. Like
thank you, Will. I mean, I appreciate that, because it is very dear to my heart. I yo-yo back and forth between really being into it and excited about it, and then thinking, well, it's just a bunch of regular human people, right? They're not superheroes or anything. Like they're just people in high school, and I'm kind of like, well,
Oh.
how interesting is this really? Am I the only one who's really fascinated by this?
Thomas was a human, and like he would probably like be dead by now because he's like 100 feet, right? He's like 100.
This is taken literally, Henry. This is true. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like if Thomas was actually born, like that honestly would be one way to personify Thomas, is to straight up go, okay, he's born in 1915. Let's see how his life develops. Or more likely, he's born in 1900 or something, and then like he's like once he's 15, he like like consigns to the war effort, and so then he's like that shapes him somehow. He goes to see battle in World War I, and then comes back, and like that could honestly work. And then you could have him live through the 20s and 30s and 40s, and you could have kind of analogous events to like him meeting Gordon or him getting his branch line. Like maybe that's him opening a shop or becoming some sort of celebrity. Like you could definitely make it work if you were to go all the way back there. What I ended up doing is putting it in the 80s instead, because I thought it'd be kind of funny if like in my head, the stories I'm writing that are human Thomas. Here, let me try to put it up on the screen
Kinda
so
like
you can actually.
Because that takes place in the 80s.
Sorry, what does?
It's kind of like Stranger Things.
Yeah, sure. That's actually probably the same general era. Here, let me find a picture of the characters just so I can put something up. I'm just gonna copyright myself here by just copying my own picture off the internet and putting it on screen. But like, so here's my cast. If I can size it appropriately there. So, you've got the first 6 engines here essentially, who are not engines anymore. I don't know if that's obvious or not. But they're, so thinking about this cast of characters, right? The way I picture the story, it kind of takes place in the 80s, just because that's when the TV show started, and it kind of seems there's something charming about that. I didn't want it to quite be today. I kind of felt like, let's push it back a little bit. So I don't know why I did it actually, why I didn't just make it present day. I guess I just thought it added a little bit of texture. If it's today, then Thomas is using a smartphone all the time. And I don't know, there's always something more romanticized about the past. Even like when you're writing a story about regular human beings, it's kind of nice to put them in a different era because it gives you a little bit more to play with. Whereas like if it's today, like I don't know what's interesting about today, right? To me, the world seems boring right now. But obviously it won't be in 20 years, right? Like you kind of get what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, I agree. Especially, but mostly today, everyone is just on their phones all the time. And that's boring.
Yeah.
And somehow they're going to find a way to romanticize that in 20, 40 years. And this is going to be a very romantic era. But right now, it's really not. So I thought, okay, let's go back to the 80s, and that's when this takes place. And then I just slowly kind of, humanized everybody. So, like I've got stories for everyone and where they're from and what their histories are. And I really would like to explore every character in this image, but I just haven't worked on it much lately. Cause again, I doubt, how interested people are.
I am.
Well, I appreciate that. Well,
You can't see, but my hand is raised.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I definitely want to continue with it. I mean, I know exactly where the story goes, but I left it on such a terrible cliffhanger.
Yes, and you haven't resolved it, Lemmy. Come on. What are you doing?
Yeah, I know. So,
I've been waiting for however long it's been.
Yeah. But anyway, what was the initial question? Was there what were we talking about?
I can't remember. I think I asked. Oh, I think I just asked when the next the next State of Soja chapter was coming out.
Yeah, I think that is what it is. Yeah, Malum. Oh, Malum's here, or Malum. Is it Malum or Malum? Malum, please tell me. Malum Madness said that's weird. Reading it, I always thought it was a present day. There wasn't really anything that indicated it wasn't. And that's just because I didn't get far enough in the story. It's going to become pretty obvious that it is in the 80s sooner or later. Like I'm going to pull in certain historical events that are going to make it obvious. Politics will be involved. not in the sense that I'm saying much, but in the sense that like I kind of want to like I think it's cool when DC brings in the president and stuff, you know, like I think that's neat when it's the actual president of the time and it kind of dates it. Like in Batman The Dark Knight Returns, they have Ronald Reagan in it, and you look at that and you're immediately like, oh, I get what period this takes place in. So it's stuff like that where I would like to implement it so that you could kind of get a sense of when this takes place. But also in general, like I feel like, you know, like a girl dresses like Thomas does here today, that's not nearly as radical as dressing like that in the 80s, you know.
Real
like,
quick. So my girlfriend called me, so I couldn't hear anything, or I couldn't hear you guys. Who's the dad in this?
Okay, so I want
who's the older person, because he looks like Nathan Drake from Uncharted.
He looks like the dad from Invincible.
Okay, so you actually got it right, Henry. So here's the thing: it's Thomas, Edward, who's Edna in this because she's female.
Okay,
Henry, James, Percy, and Nathan Drake from Uncharted. That's who he is. That's
dude, that's awesome.
I know, right? Isn't that amazing?
That's fair.
I mean, I thought about putting Gordon in, but then I thought that's dumb. No,
Gordon's the couch.
Nathan Drake, that's where it's at.
Well, actually, who is he actually?
He's Gordon.
Okay, fair.
No, that's Douglas.
That's Douglas. Yep. Not Donald. I don't want Donald anywhere near this story. Don't even. But Douglas. Oh yeah. No, Douglas is Thomas's dad. Okay. But yeah. No,
I see. I kind of see the nose and like the gap. Yeah. Like, you know.
Yeah, I have another picture here too. That's pretty cool.
I get it now.
Yeah. Let me pull it in. This next one is more Gordon.
Guys, pick a color: green or blue.
Pick a card. Any card.
Green.
Silver. Very, very fast. Well, who wins?
I got 2 votes for blue and green, so you're the deciding factor.
Silver.
Okay.
Okay. Well, what color do you think silver's closer to, blue or green?
I think it's closer to white. So.
It's green. I'll say green.
Yeah,
okay, I'm painting Rex.
Okay, nice.
I mean, you could have
Was
said
this down to Rex and Bert? Is that what was happening here?
Yeah, I have Mike, but I need to paint Rex and Bert.
All
Right.
right.
I don't like their.
This one's called United We Stand. I drew this about a year ago, but he's a little bit Gordon-ier here.
The blue suit.
Yeah, that's the most indicative thing. But it's like
looks like the facial features. It's Gordon, don't get me wrong, but also kind of reminds me of Top Hat. Kinda.
Oh no.
it does not remind me of that.
Well, no, I see it though.
The nose, just the nose, really, just the nose.
Oh, just the nose.
The structure, the chin, also. Like,
yeah, that's kind of.
Let me attempt to pull.
I can't find the State of Soda on DeviantArt. It's really annoying me.
Maybe just go straight to my account. That's probably the quickest way.
I'm trying that too, but I can't find.
Okay, we're doing some forensic cross-referencing here.
In this picture, replace
forensics.
Replace that plane flying in the background with the big Jake you're working on.
Okay, will do. Here, actually, I'm living dangerously here because I'm going over the existing layers here.
It's okay. We all live and learn.
We do. We absolutely do. I would have to finish him first to do that, though, wouldn't I? Let's see. See, this right here, this is why I do everything on layers like this, is because then I can just get rid of the background, and now I have this picture of Big Jake.
Wooden Railway Edward says, "Hey, Lemmy."
Hey, Wooden Railway Edward. Which Wooden Railway Edward? Which profile picture?
The one with Edward in between a milk and Percy.
Okay. I can't remember which is which, so that doesn't help me anyway. But yes. Is it the wooden railway Edward that I call Eddie? Is it you, Eddie? Probably Eddie.
Oh, it's a hard day. It's been a good day.
You're tired? It's quarter to 1 in the morning. Oh shit.
I have a party to go to today.
I've only just realized what time it is.
I'm surprised you were able to make it.
What time is it right now for you?
I said I'm available for half an hour because this stream started at about 11, and by the time by half an hour would be 11:30, which would be time, which would give me time to go to bed and stuff. It's now 1:45 in the morning, and I've got college in the morning, so I have to. Oh,
yeah, maybe you ought to go then, Will.
I have officially, and I have what's called fucked myself over here.
What's called, yes.
What's time is it right now?
But it's been great. It's been great having you here, Will, and I do appreciate the kind words towards State of Sodor, because it's one of those things that doesn't have like mass appeal. At least, I mean, I haven't really marketed it, so that's probably part of it. But it's like something that's very dear to me, and it's nice to hear you compliment it like that. It means a lot.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the next chapter. Let me when is it coming?
Yeah, I mean, I'll try, but you know me.
Well, you should know Lemmy is not good at releasing things.
Yeah, I'm not.
Oh, I know. I'm very much aware of this fact.
All right. Well, you have a lovely night, Will, and try to get some sleep.
I will try. Thank you for having me. It's been very nice.
Bye,
yeah,
Will.
absolutely.
And it's been good to talk to you, Henry, and you, Scott.
Yeah, you too. You too, Will.
Bye, Will.
Get the shut-eye that you can get.
I will. I'll try my best. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
He's a good kid.
Yeah, he is. Proud of the truth.
Yeah, he is. I mean, I am. All right, Big Jake is nearing fruition. How long have we been going? Because I could have drawn this in like 10 minutes if I hadn't been talking. But I'm impressed I've done anything in this time, honestly. An hour 46. Not bad. Oh, device not connected. Henry, if you're not connected anymore. Not sure if that's deliberate or not. Oh, there he is. Here.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I accidentally like turned my mic off or something. But yeah. I'll probably go. I'll probably head out in like 5 or so minutes because my girlfriend's almost home.
Alrighty. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm glad you could be here so long.
No, I'm glad. I didn't know you were. I was just watching YouTube on the TV and swiping through stuff, and then I saw you had a planned stream. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you caught it.
I was gonna play some Fortnite, but I'm like, dude, I saw this. I was like, dude, I can't pass this. usually I'm not around for your streams. So
yeah. Well, also I've barely done any in the past year or two, so it's nice to have you here for this one.
Oh, Wooden Railway Edward, he said he loves my series. Thank you, Wooden Railway Edward. I appreciate that. I actually technically. I'd say I probably have 3 series at this point. I have Adventures on Sodor, which is my Thomas series, Rails of the West, which is my American series, and then Train Yard Antics. That's a work in progress title, but that one video I made with the BNSF diesel and all that, where it's the goofy, like I consider that my comedic series.
Right. It's kind of nice to have several outlets for things.
Yeah, I never. Dude, I look back in like 2016-ish or so, or like early 2017, where I had a huge writer's block.
Right.
Any original stories from my Thomas series, but then I got a new sky backdrop, a new, I got more stuff like to make my stuff look better, and it gave me motivation to actually sit down and come up with ideas for stories. Then talking with some people like James and Roman, I believe we were talking. That's how I got the idea for Rails of the West.
Right.
Yeah. And then my friend Ty, he made a short video kind of where the premise is the end, where it focused more on cruise and the engines don't have faces.
Yeah,
That gave me the idea for that Rocks on the Track video.
right.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like what we were talking about earlier with like, the way that, somebody makes like a film and then it influences everybody else in the fandom. And then you kind of slowly see it trickle through.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I mean, that's really where creativity comes from.
That's
is
funny.
seeing,
I was talking with Ty at one point, and he said he that was made for like a film festival, like
oh, really?
because for like college or something like that, and so like it's crazy. Something as small as that gives me an idea for like a kickstart of a series. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, right? That's where the creativity comes from, is the fact that like it oftentimes it doesn't take much. Like you just like there's one idea in something that you're like, I've never seen that done before, and I know exactly where I want to go with it. And then you do a lot more with it. You get more mileage out of it than the original creator even would have. And
kind of like Alfred. Who made Alfred originally?
That was Scarloey 123, Richard Jordan. If you see all those stories where it's like written by Richard Jordan, that's him.
Okay.
He made Alfred?
Yeah. Well, he's the Sodor Dark Times guy. What's interesting about Alfred is that these days people use him predominantly to represent 98462. But in the original Sodor Dark Times, there's just a very subtle throwaway line, blink and you miss it, where he mentions Gordon gives like a backstory. He's talking to Alfred, kind of passive aggressively, and he knows that Alfred's up to something and that he's a villain, but he can't outright reveal it. And Gordon says, there was an engine who thought something like you in the past. His name was 98462. Fat Controller scrapped him, though.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, Lemmy, but I'm going to head off now. She's almost home.
Yeah, for sure, Henry. It's been great having you here.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. This was a fun time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you could come on. We'll talk soon.
Yep, good to meet you, Scottish twins.
You too.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Have a good evening. And there he goes. And now it's down to just us.
Just us.
Yes.
Woo!
Epic. Let's revel in that for a little while, and then let's bring in some more people.
Okay.
Let's see. Wooden Railway Edward says, Lemmy, any updates on character gallery? Sorry if you already covered this, just got here. If I already covered it. As if it's a board meeting. And at the beginning, I was like, all right, first order of business, folks.
Character gallery.
Yeah, we got to talk about character gallery. Okay, the stocks are down. I would like it to have more episodes. Matt is very busy. Paired with my own crippling lack of motivation to produce art, it's just not gotten anywhere. That is the most honest possible assessment of the situation.
Did you say you had an episode filmed after the latest?
Oh, we have like 2 or 3 that are stockpiled. But the thing is, I don't really feel like releasing dead episodes, like they've been in the can so long. I don't want to release them. I don't know. It's sad, right? Like I wish
say what the episodes are.
You
should say what the episodes are.
I don't think so, Scottish.
You should text me on Skype what the episodes are.
No. Maybe. I'm pretty sure I told you at some point. Maybe I did.
You did not tell me. I just remember you said that you had one in the works.
I think there's 2. Yeah, there are 2. I can't remember. Oh, I know what they are. Yeah, it's those 2. Yep, those are the 2. Wow. Such episodes those are.
Oh, yeah, those ones.
But anyway, so I just, I would love to be actively making character gallery with Matt, but he just doesn't have the time, and I get why. And, still, we keep up, but, he's a busy guy. He's living, grown-up life. Yeah. So am I guess, but I don't have nearly the responsibilities that he does. So, we just haven't had time is the truth of it. And I kind of don't want to release 2 episodes that reflect a time where we did have time. I kind of like the second that we're actively doing it again, sure, I'll release them. But I really, it's kind of a bummer, when you miss your friend and you want to be spending more time with him, but then you release, video. Like I'd have to sit down right now and edit footage of us having a great time together. That sucks when you miss your friend,
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I don't want to release them. But the second that we start actively producing them again, sure, those two will come out probably, or not, considering that I tend to get very critical of things if they've been sitting for long enough.
I've always had this question.
Yeah.
You said you sit down and edit them. How much gets edited out?
Not much gets edited out. I'd say like 1%. It's not much. Some episodes, a lot got edited out, but others, most of them, no. It's just a matter of editing out like when we go down a road that doesn't go anywhere, or that we we say something that like fundamentally contradicts what we said earlier, and so it ruins the narrative. Stuff like that I cut out, but it's very little really. So I think that for the most part it's all there. Though there are things, there's definitely character gallery lost media. Like there's a few hours worth of content that exists.
Yeah.
But for one reason or another, I haven't released it. But also, I could do character gallery right now in this live stream. It's literally just me and Matt talking about the characters, and I could produce that ad nauseum,
All right, guys. Character gallery episode 347 on Donald and Douglas.
Thomas Wooden Railway Adventures, episode 389.
It'll get there someday. It'll get there someday.
But look, believe me, any ambiguity that the audience has about character gallery, I have also. And the same goes for all of my work, right? I desperately want to see more of it, but I'm not predictable. I can't predict myself, I just am very emotionally fluctuating in terms of whether I feel like making something or whether I think it's worth it or whether I get discouraged about it. It happens so easily. The one grounding rod I had was Matt, because he didn't get like that, and he would constantly encourage me. And he would, be willing to do the show with me, and he'd say, let's do it. And if I canceled an episode, he'd be bummed. So I had a reason to continue. But now that's not really the case, because he's busy, and when, I would have to be carrying it on my own. And I am not capable of that. If I was, I'd be doing my own podcast. I'd be doing my own series, but I can't, because that's just not my nature. So that's the status with character gallery. It'll come back as soon as Matt has more time, but God knows if that'll happen, so I wouldn't hold your breath, unfortunately. No, don't do it. No. Let me.
I have good lungs. I do choir.
Oh,
I have good lungs. I'll do choir.
So you can hold your breath forever then. Ah, okay, impressive. Wow, that must be some choir you're a part of. Lemmy, I just wanted to mention that I'm citing one of your writings for a speech I'm giving in class tomorrow. It's on the TTTE fandom, and I'm using the token as an example of a great fan work. That's really sweet. Nebula says this. Thank you. That's such an honor that you would even think to do that.
Go, Lemmy.
Says, Lemmy, what's your favorite video of mine? Sorry if this is arrogant. Hee hee. Well, Scrapyard Studio.
Mine's number 2.
That's about the 5th time I've seen that, or at least the 2nd. But it's not an arrogant question. I watched that one about the about the old truck giving that backstory about Scruffy. That was pretty funny. That was pretty off the wall and crazy. I did
favorite video of mine.
Well, definitely something from your series. I've seen other stuff from you, definitely Scrapyard, but I haven't I'd have to go through your channel to think. I'm not good at calling things off in the moment. But I definitely love your work. Obviously, I love the adaptation you did of my own thing, but I'm not saying that because that would be arrogant of me. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh, Nebula says, you're welcome. My professor gave me 100% on the speech outline. He told me he's really excited to hear it in class. Yay! So yeah, that's awesome that you're talking about Thomas in class. I did that in my senior year of high school, and it was a real powerful moment for me. I'm so glad I did it. Like, you look back at the end of your life and you regret certain things. That's like the opposite of that. Like, you look back and you, like, what do you call a thing? The opposite of a regret, like something you would have regretted not doing. That was one of them. Doing that presentation in high school in my senior year with my English class. I did a presentation where I got up in front of the class and I did this comedic PowerPoint presentation where I talked about how I'm part of the Thomas community and why I love it and why I'm interested in it. But also I talked about like the things that bugged me, like when everybody says train when they mean engine, and so, and you know, it was funny, right? I got the whole class laughing, but also I impressed all of them because I showed them one of my Tugs replicas, the first one I ever built, which was 10 cents. Yeah. And he didn't like get very far. Nobody ever saw him. But the class did. And he was to the point where the eyes and the head moved. So I did this thing where I had my friend Matt, a Matt that was in class with me at the time. I told him, hey, could you hold?
Was he on your 10-year live stream?
No, he wasn't.
No.
But I had quite a few friends in high school, and that was only 2 of them in that live stream. The 2 that I've known since elementary school. But
yeah, you only had 2 friends, Lemmy. Come on. Let's
be real. Yeah. Well, to be fair, Alice was there in the room, and she was in the live stream, and she got quite a kick out of it. But so I did. I handed him 10 cents. And, you know, as if to like, so I could gesture and talk to the class, right? And I just told Matt, hey, could you hold this for me while I talk about the model? But then while I was talking about 10 cents and saying, oh, I made this out of cardboard and masking tape. And, you know, I reached my hand into the box I brought 10 cents with, and I wiggled the controller around and his head started moving and he jumped and everyone laughed, you know, because nobody knew that the head moved and the eyes moved, right? They had no idea. So I just surprised the whole class like that. And I was, you know, hoping Matt wouldn't drop it, and he didn't, you know, because he was a pretty sure-footed guy. But that was fun. So, you know, I impressed everybody with my craftsmanship.
Guys,
and
it was actually Matt Twillman. He actually flew Matt Twillman out just for that moment.
Couldn't have been a more different person from Matt Twillman. I'll say that much. But yeah, so that was a good time. Anyway, so yeah, do a presentation in class, and it hasn't got to be funny. It hasn't got to be like, what really resonated with people was that it was genuine, and they were impressed that I would talk about this with such authenticity. Because here's the thing, and obviously I wouldn't judge anybody for keeping their interest in Thomas a secret. I get it, but it is very validating to just talk about it, because if it's a big part of yourself, or even part of yourself at all, it's really nice to talk about, because it's something you're passionate about. And the thing is, people gravitate to those who are different and authentic. If you're authentic and you have confidence in who you are, people find it magnetizing. Some people find it weird, but the vast majority of people want to be like that. They have their own things that they desperately wish they could tell people, but are too afraid to. And so I find that when I just go up to people and tell them who I am, it does actually make quite a name for myself, and people do appreciate it and respect it. And so, that presentation was great. I hope your presentation goes well, because it's really cool that you're talking about something you're passionate about, and, kind of talking about the community, and, what kind of fan works exist and what makes them powerful to you, and, the talent that exists here, because there is a lot of it. And I'm honored that you put the token in there. That's crazy.
Whoever wrote that, I would love to read that essay, by the way.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, that would be cool. It's probably more of I don't know if it's a presentation or what, but it's, if it's in any form that can be read, that would be cool. Though God knows I probably won't respond to whatever message gets sent to me.
Oh, let me. If I get it, I will spam you and tell you.
Please do that. Yeah. But let's see. What did Scrapyard say? Same for you, lad. You're the whole reason I started scratch building models. Means the world to hear you love what I make. Oh, that's sweet. Thank you. Sorry for asking 5 times, lol. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
What's your favorite video on my channel?
Who, me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. Well, it's something from your most recent season. I don't know.
I'm glad it's not my old series.
Well, Well, I liked the one where there was a war. You know, that
Oh,
had real
And
guts.
Diesel's head was a Nazi.
Yeah, that's right. He
Yeah.
was the king of the Nazis. Yeah,
Yep.
that was really impressive. But
It's not
I
canon
don't
to
know.
my series now, guys. Don't worry. Please
It's more
don't worry.
plot. I can't really remember where one episode ends and the other one begins. Like, I know I loved what you did with Toby. I love, you know, the fact
I
that-
really like that.
and I loved seeing him actually go to Great Waterton and then, you know, like have that whole kind of that growth. Seeing him interact with Flora was funny because I didn't expect that characterization with Flora. I liked what you did with Hamilton. I liked all of it. I mean, it's like it's tricky. I don't remember where the divisions are between episodes. I just remember like all the content, like a movie almost.
Yes, that's what I'm going for.
But yeah, it was great.
It's
For
supposed
sure.
to be this one big story that leads up to a finale.
It felt like that. In hindsight, it's like it feels like that. Diesel 10, the not nice engine, says marketing standards.
Yeah, he was not very nice because he was a Nazi.
Yeah.
He's a completely different engine in my new series.
Well, good.
He's actually nice in my new series.
What's your favorite video that you have helped out with? Wow, that's a lot of videos.
The one that you're in for, that you're Spencer in. For
yeah. Okay.
Or the one that you're in for Coldy, which is the same episode.
I haven't even done those lines yet. Hey, okay, so, that's difficult to answer, because it's been a lot. I'll tell you what things I've been most involved in, period. Train King James's Sodor New Era, I've been in some, I mean, he's run almost every story in that by me. And we've done a lot of brainstorming together. So that one's very dear to my heart. Obviously I've been pretty involved in your series, Scottish. But you're right here, so I'm not gonna go.
You're not going to say my name.
I'm not gonna say your name. No, I wouldn't do that. What else? Like, I mean, everything that Turtles released was really cool. Like, I really liked being involved in that. Con Job was, I mean, I wrote the story and then he produced it. Like, that was pretty cool. I think my favorite thing I did with him was probably, what's it called? Pilgrimage to Doncaster. That was really great. I was proud of that. You know,
Posting my series playlist in your chat. I hope you
nice. So those were really great. I was proud of those. What else? I've been involved in a lot of people's things. There's a lot of things I did lines for and then watched once, and then like that was years ago, right? So it's easy to forget. The first thing I ever voiced in was The Dark Side of Eagle, the Red Engine, I think is what it was called. And I voiced 2 diesels in that. That was done by Jeremy Crispo Video. It was such a bit part. It was great. Oh, I bet the thing I'm most, my favorite thing I voiced in, or my favorite thing I was involved in, was probably No Greater Gift by Annie C, where I voiced Edward. That was the best role I've ever taken. I loved that. I also really liked, what was it? Alex, the Famous 8. He did By the Farm. If anyone remembers or knows that, that was fantastic. That really was the most range I ever got out of my Gordon voice. That was a really great thing. Like I was honored to be part of that. So those are my 2 favorite roles of all time. Just because I was like a lead character in them, and it was a character I really liked, and I got to go on for like an hour, right? That was really cool to do. So that's probably my favorites. What about you, Scottish?
Everything I've voiced in,
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever voiced in anything
it's tragic.
besides my own series.
That's true. Well,
No. My favorite thing, I did something for Sam. I was Atlas in one of Sam's episodes.
oh, nice. See, I
That
knew
was
you
a
had
while
done
back.
something.
But
I
yeah,
mean,
that was it.
it's like I wish I like voicing and stuff is something I wish I did more of, but it's just again, it's like, you know, I barely find passion for my own stuff, so it's kind
I
of,
wish I did more of it too.
yeah,
And I've got time, so if anyone wants to,
yeah, just put yourself out there. Yeah, but it's interesting. I mean, it's really only been, you know, very close friends that I've voiced for in the last few years, just because, you know, I really can't make time for everybody. Even if I adore people, it's like, well,
did you say really close friends?
yeah, yeah.
Yes!
Don't gloat. Just quietly accept the implication.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
I'm joking.
I'm joking.
but but yeah, like you know, I really would love to have a greater presence, you know, but I don't know how Enterprising does it. God, he's in everything. Like it's crazy that he even manages. But yeah.
There we go.
Okay, I'm rather tired of Big Jake, so I'm gonna try to finish him up here
No
and then go to the
Scottish,
bathroom
I've got
and then come
stuff.
back. So in a moment here, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, Scottish, and when I do that,
I will
means
talk about a character. Give me a character, I'll talk about him.
Okay. I'm going to think about the character because I'm going to leave in like 5 minutes. So I'm going
Okay, it has to be something from Thomas.
to. Okay.
I don't know much else.
Who's somebody tricky?
Oh, great. You're going to pick like
no.
one Lori from a magazine story. And
Shane Dewey.
Oh, shit. Okay.
There you go. Shane Dewey. Talk about Shane Dewey.
I'll do it when you leave.
Okay. Everybody get ready for his amazing dissertation on Shane Dewey. Shane.
Shane's an Australian engine.
No. If I come back and I find out that's what you've been talking about, I will have wrath. You understand?
Okay.
There will be wrath. So don't say that. Don't talk about.
My interpretation is the one from Character Gallery about Godred. So.
Okay, well, that's mine too. So, new stipulation, you're not allowed to talk about that one.
Okay.
You got to invent some totally novel personality for him that nobody's ever heard before. Even me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I've got something.
By George, he's got it.
Yeah. I do, actually.
Okay, I'll take one more question before I go to the bathroom.
Out of all the horses you have killed with a red train, what has been the biggest horse?
That's the second question I've heard phrased like that today. I out of all the horses, what's been the biggest horse that I've hit with a red train?
Yep.
Well, none. Because if I said any, that would be a serious spoiler for something. So I'm not going to say that. You know?
What do you? Oh, okay. I was like, let me. What? I understand. Here's one. I saw it, but I lost it. Hey Lemmy, will you ever do a wooden railway collection video?
I thought about it recently. I mean, like, yeah, it kind of sounds fun because the vast majority, well, not the vast majority, but I'd say a solid 10% of everything I show would be stuff I made. So that would be kind of fun, you know, like to do it like exactly the way everybody else does it, where I lay everything out in lines on the carpet, but then like it's all like
Your
just
customs.
yeah. You know,
I'm
like,
thinking about doing that too. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, it would be. You know, I mean, it's a time-honored tradition that I kind of would love to be a part of. But again, it's like it's not something I'm going to prioritize.
Oh, can I show off my posters that I made for my series?
Yeah, sure, if you want.
Oh, I'm really proud of them because I edited Railway Series pictures and I like it. And they actually look decent.
So this has become the Drawing Big Jake stream. I just wanted to make that clear. What am I going to eat for dinner?
I have a party to go to tonight.
Oh, well, what time?
6:30 is when it starts. So I'll probably.
Oh, okay.
6. If you're
Nice.
still going, then.
Very nice indeed.
Yeah, if you want to use the posters, you can definitely use the posters.
I think that's a nice, generous thing. Like, some people are very, they kind of covet what they have in this fandom. And I'm not necessarily saying they're not allowed to, but like, I think it's nice when you can make something and then other people benefit from it. I think that's really kind of a precious thing.
Yeah.
That being said, like, I mean, there are things I keep to myself because I wouldn't want other people to use them. But also, it's because like I haven't gotten a chance to use them myself yet. Like, if I've already used something, I mean, I almost see like it as an obligation. Like, well, you know, if you don't want people to like have access to something, then don't show it to them. You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
and that's the thing is like, I mean, if like with a character, right? If you invent a character and then you show it to people, they're naturally going to want to write their own stories about it. So to then say, "Oh, but you need my permission to use this character," like, dude, who are you, Disney? Like,
Yeah, I think I did that with your Hector episode from Character Gallery. I was like, dude, I want to write a four-part story about Hector for my series. I don't think I'm going to now, but
that's the other thing, right? Like, low key, every time somebody asks me, "Can I do this?" Like, I would be more than happy if they went and did it. But when I tell them yes, I'm pretty much expecting them not to do it because they almost never do.
hey, listen, I saw your Tidmouth Sheds, and I said I was going to make a replica, and in about 3 days, I had one. So,
Well,
speak
that's
for
true,
yourself.
but technically it was Audrey's Tidmouth Sheds. So, see, that's the funny thing. I do think that the Railway Series Tidmouth Sheds has been described more as mine or Ted's than Audrey's in my interactions with people, which is very funny because that's just what it looks like. Like that's the sheds right there. Like, I don't know. It's funny to me.
I am rebuilding my Tidmouth Sheds.
Well, aren't we all Scottish? I know. I've been there. Believe me.
Mine's
Scottish.
completely
Scottish. Which side of the plane does the red light go on, and which side does the green light go on?
No, the red goes on the right side, I think.
Do research.
Okay, I'll look it up.
And is it the same as boats?
Okay, this is getting way more.
Hurry, damn you! Hurry!
What side? Oh, I put up the side of the plane is the red light on. Left wing.
West? What?
Left.
Okay.
As in L, as in loser, as in lemons.
So left is red?
Left is red and right is green.
Okay. Is that the plane's right or our right?
On the airplane's left.
Okay. Thank God.
Woo!
Nicely done.
That was some fast typing.
Yeah, you've saved us.
I was like, and then we got the question.
Yeah, that was very close.
Works.
We were almost done for. Well, I guess now that the light's on, he's got to be flying at night.
Yep, you got to make the background dark.
Oh, yeah, I'll do it.
Yep, you better.
I'm gonna. Don't threaten me, sir.
I've threatened you many a time.
He admits it on public television.
Yep, public.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, before you go to the bathroom, you should put on my screen share.
That's a good idea. That it would be difficult to show the posters otherwise, wouldn't it? It's funny. Like, I'm doing all this weathering. Like, this thing is even halfway realistic, but it adds some.
What do you mean? It's so realistic.
Oh, really? Yeah, if you saw this coming at you, you'd be like, "Yep, that's real life."
Yeah, obviously.
Okay, cool.
See, the pilot just looks out of his eyebrow.
Yep, exactly.
And
you know it.
The landing gear comes out of his chin.
That's disgusting.
Hey, let me. Have I ever asked you what your opinion on planes is?
The movie?
Yeah.
I love it, but I the first one's all right. The second one is phenomenal.
Second one is so good.
Yeah, it is. Like, that's the thing. He's not centered at all. Come on.
Just
Okay.
move him.
Yeah, I know. The problem is you can't move all the layers at once.
Oh, well.
So I have to combine all the layers into a copy. There's a feature called new from visible. So you can just do new from visible. And I'll make him a little bigger. Why not?
What's his name?
Big Jake.
Big Jake. Well, I mean, if you gotta make him bigger if he's Big Jake.
No. No, I don't have any obligation to.
Yeah, you do, because I'm forcing you.
Oh.
Yeah.
This always happens. Why do you always do this?
Because I'm a bad person.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
Oh, took me a
You
while. to
just
figure
found that out? Wow, come on.
I'm really scared. Oh my
It's been
god.
2 years and you just found out I was a bad
Oh,
person.
God. I guess, yeah. It took a while for that.
Damn while.
2 years. Wow. Time
AJ realized after like the first 2 months?
I don't even want to know what specific situation made that realization come about.
You don't want to know. And AJ, I know you're in the chat, so don't say anything. Speaking of which, he's calling me right now.
Oh, God. My one one of those other not regrets I have is that after I basically ghosted the Tugs TWR group, at least everybody had each other, so it didn't suck. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I made some really good friends out of that. So
Thank God you did. I'm glad.
I made you.
You did not make me.
I did.
What a claim. What a claim.
I made you. You are one of my OCs, actually. So.
Sheesh, more junk mail? My dad just handed me some junk mail.
Junk mail.
Yes, but
just like,
the best thing to come out of Tugs TWR was 100% you and all the others.
Yeah.
But also because that's the only thing that came out of Tugs TWR.
Excuse me. There. I made model.
Yeah, that's true. It depends. Like, to me, I see a model as a waste if it didn't get used for its intended purpose. So,
hey,
like,
in my series, Big Buck has been seen in my series. Speaking of which, here he is right now.
Here. Wait. There he is. There's the guy. Yeah, that's true. So it's good you got use out of him. For me,
Yep.
I couldn't bear to put anything resembling an American tugboat in a British port. So
And then Izzy is my car. Is in my car. Not Izzy is in my car.
Izzy's your car.
Izzy is
Awesome.
my car.
You drive to work on Izzy. Wow, that's amazing.
Yep. I go, and then he goes, oh, hello, my friends.
You know you're canceled now, right?
Yep.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
It's bound to happen eventually.
Oh my god. Yeah, when do I get canceled? Come on. Where have people been hiding? Where are the cancelers?
They haven't bound to touch you
I
being
see.
canceled yet. They're too afraid.
I see. Jesus Christ.
Are those clouds?
No, they're the souls. They're the souls that were let out
From
of
Bertram?
From
Yeah.
Bertram's body.
Hey, I don't know if you saw my message. Do you want to make that like a series?
Absolutely not.
Okay, cool.
I mean, look,
An
the idea
improv
of
stream like every 3 months or something.
the idea of doing a series with you sounds fantastic, but if we were gonna do it, we wouldn't waste it on that. Like,
I mean, that's
I
really cool.
was firing on like one cylinder that day, Scottish. Like, if I'm gonna work with you, I should at least be firing on 2. But of course, 3 is the total number of cylinders for any proper individual, and everyone knows that.
Scottish, what's your channel? Just the Scottish Twins. If you go search it up, Scottish Twins. I'll post my @ in chat.
So I don't know if anyone's been noticing, but each one of these clouds is shaped like a U.S. state. So I want you to figure out which one's which.
That one's Alabama.
Okay.
That one's Tennessee.
No, it's not Tennessee.
That one's Texas.
I drew it pretty clearly.
Oh yeah, I can see. Scottish doing marketing. There's my app. If you just click on that, then it should take you to my channel, I hope. But if not, the Scottish Twins on YouTube. And it should be good.
All right, I admit it. None of these clouds are shaped like U.S. states.
No. That one's like Italy.
No, please, don't even. Please.
And then I can see a little bit of like Russia over there.
I see. That's what you think, is it?
That one just looks like a splodge of paint.
You mean like all of them?
No. Yep, that's
All
about
right.
it. That's all I got.
Nice. All right. Maybe some gusts in the background. Oh, looks like Roman's finally responding.
I placed first at my choir competition.
Oh, nice.
We're the best in my whole state.
Good Lord, that's fantastic.
I am very proud of that.
You should be. That's really awesome. Damn, look at you go. Big
I
J.
told you I've got good lungs.
I believe you. I've heard. Gasped.
You're making the light do light things.
Yeah, that's right.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think so.
People are spamming the chat in W's.
All right, that's probably good enough. All right. There's Big Jake in all his glory.
Big Jake.
My signature is kind of taking me out of it. Is there somewhere I can put this that isn't as obvious?
Just write lemon.
Lemon. Yeah, right. That works. All right, and there's Big Jake, everyone. After only 2 hours and 30 minutes. So that's the rate I work at when I am talking.
I'm around.
People. Yeah, when I'm severely distracted.
By me.
Isn't Big Jake a warplane? I don't know my planes. Look. I mean, he's pretty modern, so if he is a warplane, he's probably from the Korean War or something. Like maybe the Vietnam War.
The War on Terror.
The man that put the engine in the chip shop is a certified classic. I love that. Oh, those is it Dave Golder or is it there's another one too. But there's these really great songs written by a railway fireman. And he they're so great.
Thomas comes to breakfast or duck in the close shave or whatever.
All right. Golder. Yeah, okay, I was right. So anyway, this is Big Jake. Now I'm going to give you the screen share, Scottish.
Yeah, screen share.
All right. So wait, how do I just add that's very easy and convenient here. All right, I'll be back soon.
So Shane Dooney. Okay. So these are my posters. Here, I'll scroll down. Oh, wait. Yeah, I'll do that so you can screenshot them if you would like to print them out. These are the posters for some of the things on Sodor. And I did my series a little bit because look at the tenders. Northwestern Railway Northwestern with the 11 on the side of the smoke box for Oliver. James has a little bit of a smile there. He's got Northwestern on the tender. But yeah, these are my posters. I think AJ's seen these. Can I use these? No, AJ, you cannot. Everyone else can, but AJ. But yeah, here, I'll move my little cursor off so you can screenshot those. Yeah, I really like these. I like how Lemmy pointed this out when I showed Lemmy. Why is the fish train on a poster for people to see? That is what Lemmy pointed out. Lemmy was like, okay, so we've got the Sudrian, we've got a poster for the Little Western, and a poster for the Kirk Ronan branch line. And then we've got a poster for the Flying Kipper. I think it's just because it's a cool train.
I think that it makes sense. I mean, haven't you ever seen advertisements for like, for freight industries or for companies, right? Like I've seen
Yeah.
commercials on TV that are for like our package moving business is the best in the business, and it's like the average person isn't going to buy a bulk order of like 1,000 shipping trucks. They're like, they're trying to appeal to industry, and so I see why you put that poster up. Predominantly it would be the passenger posters directed at the passengers. But I do think
Like
that
we could buy fish off of the Kipper.
Yes,
from where Henry stops.
I could see that. But they're advertising the service, though. They're not advertising the fish themselves, which aren't sold by the railway, but instead are sold by independent fishermen. So I feel like a poster like this would probably be. I mean, obviously, you made it, but like when I look at it, I think it's probably trying to get the attention of fishermen and get the attention of grocers and people who need to transport that type of product. They're gonna strike a deal with the railway. It's kind of what I think.
Yeah.
Sure, that's the case.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. I like these posters. I made a few more, but I made those a while back, and I'm not as proud of those.
Kelsthorpe Road to Kirk Ronan. James must be so happy that he's on a poster.
Dude, he is very happy. You don't know. It's not ever shown in the series, but he's like, oh yes, I'm in a poster. My favorite characters for me to write for are the big engines. James, Henry, and Gordon are such a fun.
They are a lot of fun. I mean, they're like
That's why they're seen in like every like story set I've written so far. At least one of them has been seen in that.
They are old standbys. Like they are a reliably hilarious group.
Yeah. Gordon has a big role throughout the next season of my series. Not necessarily a big. He's got a big role for a side character.
Thomas Theorist says, and that's any role for Gordon, and I'm okay. If there's no role for Gordon, I'm going to be furious. That's not what Thomas Theorist said. That's just me having to say that. Thomas Theorist says, hey, Lemmy, how do you feel about Bulgy having a beard in the Railway series? If it's like a Karl Marx beard, then yeah, 100%. If it's any other kind of beard, I think you need to study the character once more. Anyway,
Karl Marx, good person. What?
Lemmy, what was your favorite part of making JBS How It Should Be? That's a difficult question because I resented the whole experience of making the movie.
Models?
There were good parts, right? But mostly we just made the thing because we were angry about the direction the show was going, and making something out of anger is never really going to be a gratifying experience. It's just going to be frustrating the whole time. But I mean, it was very validating making what was it? It was validating making like so many different sets of engines. I mean, I made a lot for that movie. I made 5 sets of who was it either? It was either 5 sets of the experimentals and 3 sets of Hurricane and Frankie, or it was the other way around. I can't remember which. I think it was only 3 Hurricanes, 3 Frankies, 5 Lexis, 5 Merlins, 5 Theos, 1 Beresford, 6 canal boats for Roman, and a turntable for Roman because he didn't have the blue one or something for the sheds. A lot of shit I made for that movie. I mean, it was probably modeling wise the most demanding thing I ever did. We saw how it turned out. But it was gratifying seeing seeing all those models together on my workbench. That was pretty crazy. None of them held up very well, though.
Did you make them like all at the same time? Like, did you make
Oh,
all
yeah.
the Lexis and then like all the Hurricanes or something?
Yeah, I mass produced them. So I built
Yeah.
everything simultaneously because it all needed to go out. Because we thought the movie was going to take like 2 months maybe to make. We didn't expect it to take 8. So I thought, well, I mean, what are we going to do? Have Multi film his scenes and then have Matt film his scenes and just ship them back and forth? Yes, that would have been the best way to do it in hindsight, is to literally just have everybody, like Matt films for a month, and sure, nobody else can film because they don't have the models, but that's fine. Just give them the Matt, then send them over and give them the Multi, send them over, give them to James. It wouldn't be that hard. It would take a few days in between to ship them, and then you'd have to wait a month for them to film everything. But it took 8 months anyway. So the simultaneous nature of it really wasn't all that time saving, even though I thought it was. Anyway, a lot of mismanagement and bad ideas in that whole movie. It's the greatest regret of my professional career. But it's
no, I mean, your greatest regret is befriending me.
No, that's one of my greatest triumphs, as they say. Yeah.
Huzzah!
Jason, the Autistic Tugboat and Autistic Pony, says, "Hey, Lemmy, I have a question for you. Are you a tugboat and a pony?" I mean, you could be, I suppose. That would be an impressive combination of features.
Lemmy, what's your opinions on Cars 3?
You, Jason says, you.
You.
That's crazy, says Sodor Express Studios. Sorry, what was your question, Scottish?
What's your opinions on Cars 3?
I've talked about this a lot. I love it. It's amazing. It's the sequel to Cars 1 that there really should have been, but I also think Cars 2 was really important to come in between the two, because I think something a lot of people will overlook is if you went straight from Cars 1 to Cars 2, Lightning would grow up very quickly. There needs to be something in between. It needs to feel like it's been a long time since Cars 2, or since Cars 1. Mm-hmm. Now, I suppose you could just not make Cars 2 at all and then wait 11 years until that you make another Cars movie. That would have a similar effect, but the problem there is then we never get to see Lightning actually like as a seasoned professional. Like in Cars 1, he's a rookie. In Cars 3, he's being forced out to pasture. So Cars 2 is our chance to see him at his peak. He's not threatened at all. It's literally just good sportsmanship between him and other guys. It's fun to watch. I love seeing him interact with Jeff Gordon and with Francesco, and he has rivalry, but it's not like Chick Hicks rivalry. It's like the type of rivalry Lightning needs in his life, It's just a good time. So I'm glad Cars 2 is in there, and I like it because of totally different reasons than I like the other two.
I love Cars 3.
Yeah, Cars 3 is amazing. The way it treats Doc Hudson with such reverence, and it reveals how big of a deal Lightning really was to him, and the father-son relationship there is utterly just heartbreaking and heartwarming all at once. It's really a masterful film. And I love Cruz. I really, really love that Lightning basically, I don't even want to spoil what happens in the movie, but she becomes his protege. And I think she's very much a worthy protege. Like, it's so cool to see how the roles reverse throughout the movie, where at first she's his trainer, and then you realize she's a lot younger than him. And in fact, she could actually learn a lot more from him. But it's great. Like, the only way Lightning is going to give up his racing career is if it's going to benefit somebody else more. And I think that's really cool, because that's how his generosity helping the king over the finish line in the first movie has evolved. He threw the race back then to help the king, and he throws his career in Cars 3 to help Cruz. And that fucking that's powerful, man. Like, that was awesome. So the whole movie's great. It's really great.
I also like the score from it. It's a really beautiful.
It's great. It's eerily similar to Cars. Like, I like that they were trying to kind of echo the first one, but some pieces just feel totally reused. And knowing Pixar, they just put the same sheet music in front of a new band.
Yeah.
And the same composer, but a different orchestra. like
yeah.
because they're Pixar, they would never just reuse music. But then they basically did anyway, because what they played basically sounds like the first movie. So I don't know. In some ways, I think it was a little too close to the original in terms of music, but it was good. It doesn't distract me too much. The end where it's like da, 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 like it's literally the same as Cars. Like that's a little weird how close it is. But anyway, so I love the movie overall. It's fantastic. I'm glad Cars hasn't been ruined yet. Nothing's come out that just you can't ignore. Toy Story has been kind of ruined for me by Toy Story 4, I have to say. But Sodor Express Studios says, Lemmy, I have a terrible rash, and it's continuing to spread. My arms are shrinking, and I broke my hair. What should I do? You should consult a dictionary, because I don't think we're talking about the same things. Hair does not break unless it's like spaghetti or something, in which case, doctor time. Eat a Snickers, says Scrapyard Studios. Yep, that's the answer. Let's see. Lemmy, what do you think of the original Cars opening scene? It's awesome. It's iconic. It's pure nostalgia. Fucking amazing. Let's see. Lemmy, ask Scottish about duck being a boat.
No.
Wait.
That's AJ. No.
Are you making duck a boat?
No, I'm not. AJ was like, I'm gonna make duck a boat.
Okay, look, AJ, I've thought of here. It's time. Hold on. Can I find this? We're gonna go through my DeviantArt, folks. Okay, we're gonna go through my DeviantArt until we find duck as a boat.
No.
Just to show you all that there's a 10-year precedent for this and that it's a great idea.
AJ, Lemmy, why did you have to do this? Why?
Okay, well, I think you know why.
Why? I don't think I do, actually.
Okay, well, he desperately wants to see the ocean, doesn't he?
No, he wants to see the horizon.
Okay. What's he gonna do? Build rails out to the horizon?
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly what he's gonna do.
Well,
right.
You know what?
I'll have to go because I gotta get ready for this party I'm gonna go to.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, sure. So that's just your way of avoiding the
No, my friend said I'll be there in about 20 minutes.
Right, sure. Okay. Well, everybody else is going to see duck as a boat then, and it's going to be your fault.
Okay, this will be on your YouTube channel, and I will go look it up. Maybe, probably not.
Okay. Well, you have a lovely party, Scottish. It's been great having you here.
It's been great being a guest, Lemmy. Thank you.
Yes, anytime. All right. You take
Bye-bye.
care. Now, I know it may be hard to believe, but I am a man of my word on this specific topic. So we are going to look at DeviantArt, and we're going to find duck as a boat. And if anyone has any problem with that, they're free to leave right now. But if they are bold, if they are curious, then we are going to see duck as a boat. Now, who among you is ready to see duck as a boat? I am. Who else? Oh, you're bold, are you, Sodor Express Studios? Jason says, yay. Well, I'm going to take that as a yes. Murdoch23 says yes. Murdoch23, are you AJ? Let's see. I'm dreadfully out of the loop. I'll present. Yes, I think I will. I think I will present. All right. You seeing this, folks? This is my DeviantArt. This is everything. This is all of it, folks. Okay, we're gonna have to dig into the deep DeviantArt because this is everything I've done since 2021, I think, or maybe I think so. So we're gonna have to go into the depths. All. That's right. I want to see all. Oh, we're going. We're going. Is it even still in here, or did I get rid of it? We're still going. Man, we're going. We are going. No, I don't see it. That's weird. Why would I have gotten rid of that? Or did I not upload that? I was pretty proud of that one, though. Why is it not here? I believe this is what it looks like when somebody's life flashes before their eyes. Oh, there it is. Behold! Duck as a boat. Bet you never thought you'd see that, huh? Oh, I'm zooming in and it's not even getting bigger. Okay. That's as big as it's going to get, folks. Duck as a boat. It's kind of a cute idea, huh? Like the composition. Good Christ, I hate it, says Sodor Express Studios. J88 Production says boat. When you die, all you see is every drawing you've ever done in recoil, says Donald's Duck. That's got to be significantly easier for some people than others. Some people just drew a stick figure once, and that's what they see, and then they die. Dude, that's one crazy boat, says Sodor Express Studios. Yeah, I'd say so. I tried to kind of give the water effect, so he's a little wavy, And then it's the whole would be black, but it looks blue because it's water. I was experimenting with how colors change in reflections back then. My body was not ready, said Dustin. Rudy Productions. Well, I apologize for that, but these are the facts, okay? All right. I like how you represented the 5741 and the 8 on the train duck. Oh, I guess I did. Yeah, I put it on his handrail. That's cute. See, this is so long ago. When was this? I don't know if it's 2013. Yeah, so March 23rd, 2013. So this is over 10 years ago that I drew this image. That's ancient. That's really ancient. Let's rapidly move to something new. So this is where I'm at now. And I like this. This is who do you think this is, folks? Take a guess. As if it's not obvious. Just take a guess. It's a rather artsy depiction of him. It's like this is kind of like what I was talking to Henry earlier in this stream, I think, about how I kind of like to just draw a character and just let their essence kind of flow out and not worry too much about looking at references or getting them right. And that's how I drew this Edward. So it's I was kind of just well, what does he really look like in my mind? And it's this, right? This is how he looks. He's low slung. You could tell I called the whole thing the Victorian because to me, that's a major component of Edward is that he's old, he's from another era, but he's also extremely elegant as a result of that. You look at him and you're like, wow, they don't build him like that anymore. But he's also worn down, he's sooty. He's been through a lot. He's an old engine, but he's not a preservation piece. He's a working engine. And so you can see, the years have taken their toll on him, But yeah, I'm very proud of this one. I think it's nice. He's a small Victorian child. He needs food from Scrooge McDuck, says Donald's Duck. Is everything ducks with you? Edward? I thought it was James, says J88 Productions. K2 Edward is amazing, says Murdoch23. Yeah, no, to me, obviously, much it's like Batman, right? There is a million different versions of Batman and they're all cool for different reasons. And I love seeing more and more takes on a traditional character. So it's great that everybody views Edward in a different light. But for me, he very much is a K2. I can't really picture him coming from anywhere else. And I kind of love that. I love that, for one thing, his origins are as an express engine, which I don't know if he was particularly good at or not, but he was definitely intended to be one. So that does give him an interesting perspective where it's either he was never any good at it and so was ridiculed by his brothers and sisters, and otherwise he was maybe very good at it and then got old and then had to be replaced by engines like Gordon. And so now he's grappling with the fact that he doesn't have the value he once had, that the metric he was once judged by, he's not valuable in that way anymore. And you see that in moments where it's like, the Queen is coming, and Edward says, I'm too old to pull important trains. You know, like, he's just so wistful. You see him in the back of the sheds in the 3 railway engines, where he's 20 years old at that point. That's old for an engine. And he doesn't think anyone's ever going to take him out again, you know? I mean, if he was like some sort of LNER class built in the 20s, that doesn't really do it for me, you know, because then he's so young and spry, you know? He'd be the same age as Gordon. So I kind of like that the K2s they're from, you know, the late 1890s, you know? I think he's from the Victorian era, just barely, you know? He's from last century, you know? I mean, that makes a difference, you know? Being built in 1900 and being built in 1899, there's a difference there to me. So I kind of like him looking the part. You know, you look at him and you're immediately like, that guy's old. Whereas you watch the show, would you be able to tell? Like, if the narrator didn't tell you Edward was old, and you were given all the first 7 engines and looked at them and said, okay, which one is the oldest? You probably would say Toby, you know? So let's look at the first 6, which he isn't, by the way. But if, you know, you look at the first 6, which one's the oldest? Which one looks the oldest? I don't know if you could tell it was Edward. Him and James look practically the same, you know? So I kind of like the idea of them being very different in appearance, where you can immediately tell. You know, but also I grew up on TV series Edward, and I love his shape, and that is Edward to me as well. But this right here is, you know, the Edwardist Edward that my subconscious thinks of when I think of Edward. But I don't always render him this way. I mean, there's a lot of different ways he could be rendered, you know. So, you know, it's definitely a you know, you can play around with it, and that's what I love about these characters. Lemmy, who's your favorite My Little Pony character? Says Jason. So for those who don't know, I watched through the whole My Little Pony series and the movie a year ago with my sister. And we'd both barely seen it. She'd seen it when she was younger. And here, let me get Edward off the screen. It's not really relevant. But he, you know, like, here, I almost casually changed to talking about Edward for a second there. But, you know, she hadn't seen much of it when she was younger, a little bit, you know, and I hadn't seen any. So we watched through the whole show, and it's really well written. I recommend it. It's like, the thing about My Little Pony is they remember who their characters are and build on them throughout the course of the show in a very satisfying way. It's not like, you know, it's not like they just kind of forget who they are every season or every episode. Like, there is some continuity to it, and you see character development and growth throughout the show. It's very satisfying. Who's my favorite character? Applejack is the one who comes to mind first. I do respect her the most out of all the characters, and it's kind of nice to have like a character that just doesn't stand any nonsense and just kind of like is the voice of reason in every situation. Especially as the show goes on, you can see it takes a toll on her that like everybody around her is constantly so, you know, so either goofy or unreasonable or, you know, whatever. But also you see all the characters over time get a lot more, they get a lot more understanding. Like, the whole show is about friendship and about how the characters build friendships with each other. And I really love that their friendships get better over the course of the show. They really do kind of learn everybody else's personalities, and, you know, they realize what their own weaknesses are and their flaws, and they become better people all because of each other. It's really cool. I like Applejack for that reason. That's funny. Donald's Duck says, everyone here is insane except for me. Everyone in the show. Yeah. That describes Applejack pretty well, actually. It's like, she's the one sane character. But a lot of them are, increasingly, throughout the show. And I think that, I mean, Pinkie Pie's great. She's fun. She's bouncing off the walls. But she also has a depressive streak where she can get discouraged very easily and then just totally deflate. There's too much to talk about with this show. If I was the type of guy who did video essays, I would do like a 2-hour one on this. Because it's like, it's so great. Her family, who we come to know over the course of the show, they live in like this worn out rock farm, like miles from where the rest of the characters live. And they're all like kind of muted colors and they're all gray. And Pinkie Pie, she's this bright pink, she's lively, she's got curly hair. And her family, they all have this kind of this straight kind of just drooping hair, and they all look really grim and glum. And what's crazy is that when Pinkie Pie gets sad in the show, she reverts to that appearance, and her hair drops down and kind of goes straight. And she kind of has this very this very glum appearance, and her color palette gets duller. And I think that's so clever. Like, what does that imply? That her family has an unhealthy way of engaging with the world, and that she's managed to escape them and kind of build a better life for herself. And while she still loves them, she also is happier in Ponyville. And so she I don't know, it's so cool. I love that. It's such a great series. Rarity's great. She's fun to watch. She's like James, but way less unhealthy. Like, she's got all of James's vanity and none of his insecurity. She's got confidence. She's like James and Gordon mixed together. It's really just great. Like, everybody in the show is pretty much a good person. And there's very few characters that are irredeemable. And even when you think one is going to be, the answer is always friendship at the end of the show. It's so great. I love the whole show. So that's a favorite of mine. But yeah, it'd probably be favorite. Twilight's great. Rainbow Dash, I can't choose. It's probably Rainbow Dash or like Pinkie Pie or Twilight, or it's like, I can't choose. I'd have to think about this a long time. Anyway, so most people probably haven't seen it, but I love the show. I recommend it. So let's see, what else are people saying? Do you have any Tugs headcanon? If so, what are they? And I'm probably going to finish up here in like 5 minutes, just because that'll be a nice 3-hour even mark. But yeah, I think Tugs headcanons. I mean, see, that's another interesting term, headcanon. Like, headcanon is kind of like, it's like the term OC, where it's like the term only exists because we feel the need to just kind of admit out front, well, this isn't official material, don't worry about it. I mean, I'm not the original author, and I'm just adding something weird on top of the original author's intentions. That's kind of why that term exists, headcanon. And I don't really think of writing that way. I kind of just think of it like writing. So like headcanon, I mean, like maybe, I mean, the way I would approach that question is, do you have any original Tugs ideas that weren't in the show? And yeah, I have hundreds. So it's like, I mean, yeah, I have a lot of ideas for Tugs. But the thing is, like, the ideas that I have are tied up in a lot of other ideas too. I'm going to take a long time to explain. I mean, one thought is that I think Big City Port was initially all paddle tugs like OJ, because that's kind of what Quarantine implies. He's the last paddle-driven tug in the port, and I would love to see that era. Like, in my head, the Starfleet was originally all paddle tugs, and so it didn't start with 10 cents. It's not like Captain Star bought 10 cents and it's like, now I am going to build a fleet. Like, it's more like his grandfather started the fleet or something, and he like lent it down to him, because that would explain why the order of the tugs is so weird. I don't get the sense that it went 10 cents, Big Mac, OJ, Top Hat, Warrior, Hercules, Sunshine. Obviously, Sunshine is the most recent, but I kind of struggle to believe that Hercules is the newest after him, or that like Big Mac and Warrior are that far apart, like, despite the fact that they're basically brothers. There's certain things that are kind of weird like that. So I could see it being where it's kind of like the pack in Thomas, where you've got all the characters, and then slowly, as machines break down and get replaced, calm down, James. I was told there'd be doodling. Where are the doodles? There was one doodle, James. There was a doodle of Big Jake, and you saw it in progress. Here, I'll show you Big Jake. If it'll calm you down, I'll show you. Let's see. Well, that doesn't seem to be working. So All right. Well, you'll see it later, James. Anyway, the pack? I think you mean the peak. What? Says Donald's Duck. Ah, yes, my ride. No, not your ride, James. Anyway, I think that the Starfleet was slowly swapped out with new boats in the same way that the pack is, you know? That's why Jack is number 11, even though he's the newest. And so I think that, you know, that's probably how it works. And then maybe 10 cents wasn't the first one there. Maybe he's like the 7th or something, you know? Like, I think OJ definitely acts like he's been there the longest. But then if the numbers mean something, he would have had to be purchased secondhand by Captain Star, and that just seems kind of weird to me. I think it feels more like the world changed around him than he got pulled out of his old home and put into a new one. But also he's English, apparently, so I don't even know how to justify that. Anyway, it's been great, everybody. You have a lovely night.